He did not finish his testimony last week. For SFM News, I am Ann Musa.
Very good morning to you. In your SFM Sports headlines, cricket action, the Proteas women crushing England to storm into the World Cup final. And in boxing, Sia Kuze shows a big fight in the WBC title bout. The details just before 6:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Very good morning. We started the Van Rieden's Pass, coming off a pass into the Free State area. It's quite a nasty crash involving a truck and I believe a pedestrian between Van Rieden's and Swinburne. If you're on the Joburg carriageway, one lane open to get through that, and there appears to be a bit of a backlog on the Durban-bound side as well. Down into Durban, a truck losing a big load of steel cylinders, steel rolls this morning all over the Sani Road up by Umbilo Fire Station, just by the Umbilo Road junction there. So if you move along Sania Road this morning, it's likely to be quite busy. Joburg off to a good start. There are roadworks on the R21 that will cut in and cause major problems between Captain Park and Pretoria across the course of the morning. And the N3 roadworks are still continuing as well. Driving into Cape Town, there's a set of roadworks dropping you to a single lane approaching the Huguenot Tunnel. That's coming in from Worcester. And Baden-Powell, just one lane open this morning due to sand at Monwabisi. Not surprising given the big wind that Cape Town experienced yesterday. Go carefully. That section of Baden-Powell likely to have you backing up both ways. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
7 minutes after 6. Today is Thursday, the 30th of October, 2025. You're listening to SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Welcome to it, the Thursday edition of the Morning Brief here on SAFM. While you slept, we scanned and scoured your locality, your province, country, continent, and the world, carefully curated those news and current affairs developments that we believe will move the needle in your world today, and we've packaged them into this morning brief, which we now proudly present to you. Among some of what we will tell you over the next 3 hours, what is it that you do? What is it that you do? The question that landed hard in Parliament, echoing through the ad hoc committee investigating those allegations of criminality, political interference, and corruption within the policing system. And this question arose as Deputy Police Minister Castle Matale in the last few days faced MPs who were asking just what it is, just what his daily duties are. Matale revealed that neither he nor his fellow deputy Poli Bushielo have been assigned any formal powers or duties months after taking office because, according to Castle Matale, the on leave Minister of Police Senzo Mchunu was, quote unquote, still familiarizing himself with the policing environment. Matale telling MPs that, and I quote here, "We don't have delegated powers signed off to say this is what you do, but we had work to do," end quote. So the revelation, as you can imagine, has reignited the debate over whether the country needs deputy ministers at all, with Action SA seizing the opportunity, the political opportunity, and why not really? Because they have been championing this particular issue. They are now renewing their call to amend the constitution to abolish the posts of deputy minister altogether. There are currently 43 deputy ministers in the governing coalition known as the Government of National Unity, each earning, we are told, something in the region of just over 2.2 million rand a year. And critics say it's time to ask if taxpayers are getting bang for buck as far as that expenditure is concerned. So at about 6:45 this morning, I'll be in conversation with Ethel Trollip, the Action SA Parliamentary Caucus leader, to reflect on that and just about their renewed calls for the constitution to be amended for the abolishment of the position of deputy minister. We've told you about the wave of gang violence and sheer terror, really, that is sweeping through communities in the Cape Flats, with the last weekend being particularly deadly, with at least 22 people dead and 16 critically injured in various incidents across the Cape Flats. Incidents were recorded in Mitchell's Plain, Manenberg, Lavender Hill, Delft, Bonteyevel, Elsis Rivier, Kraaifontein, Philippi, and Malmesbury in just some of the incidents that were recorded over the past weekend. The bloodshed, which spanned multiple neighborhoods between Friday and Sunday, has prompted renewed calls for drastic government intervention. So you'll know about it. For their part, the Western Cape authorities have long held that they have the wherewithal to make an impact on policing, at least policing as far as that situation is concerned, and that they have the wherewithal if only their hands would be untied through a devolution of some policing powers to the provinces. But outside of that political tug of war, because that issue of devolution has really become that, a political tug of war, outside of that, what other practical solutions are being workshopped or implemented by authorities in the Western Cape and in the city of Cape Town? So at about 7:10, I'll be raising those questions with Cape Town Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis, who will join me for that conversation and reflections. In a country where sexual predators lurk almost everywhere, including in noble professions like teaching, you'd think the vetting of potential and current teachers against the National Register of Sex Offenders would by now be par for the course, stock standard, routine stuff, really. You'd be wrong. Until recently, only just shy of 80,000 of the more than 400,000 teachers had been vetted against the National Register of Sex Offenders. That's why a new initiative by the Department of Basic Education is garnering some attention. For years, it seemed as if the vetting of teachers against the register was largely left to the provincial departments, with the national department playing more of a monitoring and oversight role. But now the DBE says it is not just monitoring, but it's actually funding and fast-tracking the process itself, starting with student teachers to ensure that there's payment and funding for their vetting against the National Register of Sex Offenders before they even enter the system and start working with children. So we'll talk to Lukhanyo Vanga, the Department of Basic Education Media Liaison Officer, about that. And we'll be talking to Lukhanyo at about 7:45 this morning. The full team is ready, able, and willing to serve up your updates throughout the morning. And Musa is at the news desk. Rob Byrne has got your traffic covered. Zaikan is watching sport for you. Melissa Buta with the morning brief in brief coming up in the next few minutes. As always, Ntauleng Lechela, always right on the money with insights into the economy and business. And Sipho Mantula, Mo Africa, a wrap of key developments on the continent and the diaspora with the Africa update at about 7:20 this morning. We say we are leading the conversations that move us, but they only move us if they move you. So talk to me about those conversations that move you this morning. The number to dial throughout the show, 086 000 2032. 086 000 2032. Your WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107. We've started it. We've revved it a few times. It's warmed up nicely. Let's put it in gear and get going this morning.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 Rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Zinzi, the Gen Z. Word on the street is you sold your car.
Yes, and I needed a glow up. Hashtag no hustle, no hassle.
So wait. The influencer got influenced by We Buy Cars.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And they came to me. They checked the car, they gave me an offer. Oh, and they paid me immediately. Easier than an Insta Live, without the weird DMs at 2 a.m.
I didn't understand half of the things you just said, but hey, we buy cars. Geared for the glow up, geared for you.
Big stories of the day. Hashtag the morning brief.
All right, let's get it started with Melissa Puta with the morning brief in brief. Melissa, good morning. The Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee has hit refresh, the refresh button as far as its list of witnesses is concerned. And as they did that, we find out that the man known as Brown Mokgotsi actually has a first name. It's Opa.
Yes.
Opa Mokgotsi. Yes.
The Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee investigating corruption and political interference in South Africa has updated business list. Meeting came from members reviewed progress and plans coming testimony after hearing from key officials, including Kaiser and Kwanazi. Priority witnesses now include business and Brown Mukoti, forensic investigator Paul the hotel member Uzi Tech Matala. Others expected to appear after the TFO Bani suspended Inspector General Piaz, who may be suspended. SOV Rose Italia, Deputy Minister Polly Cielo, remain on the list, while MPs pushed to seat for the 28th line. This will be interesting.
And after the Supreme Court of Appeal judgment, there was this sense of, let's have a détente and a thawing of relations among the Amazulu royal family. But it doesn't seem like that is going to be achieved anytime soon.
And not at all. So Zulu King, Mrs. Kini, has publicly rebuked his brother Prince Magate, accusing him of dividing the royal family instead of fostering unity. What was meant to be the royal palace of Angola into morning from the king's detectives. The king's remarks came after a Supreme Court of Appeal how he and President appeal confirming Alice with as monarch, overturning a high court that the despite Prince continues to challenge this legitimacy, claiming he is rightful is custom. Addressing traditional leaders and guests, King Zulu said he was chosen by his ancestors. He urged unity and prayer among royal children and discussed further legal challenges, saying is even is that seat. He also criticized police on the palace, calling it of turmoil in the royal.
As it pleases their worships, but actually their salaries are not pleasing them at all. Tell me about magistrates nationwide protesting about salaries.
So magistrates nationwide are protesting the government. You have just years. So about 2 weeks ago, in the protest on the judicial issue of South Africa says that the independent remuneration and the presidency threatens the independence of the lower court. As President Magistrate Neelan Palican accused President Ramaphosa of failing to penalize review despite the IRC's 2008 report highlighting an unjust pay gap between judges and magistrates. On Wednesday, magistrates protested outside Parliament the weeks to act, warning that is not damaging morale and judicial integrity. So this is also another story to watch to see how it progresses.
Conditions of service just really need to buttress the dignity of that branch of our judicial officers. Thank you for that, Melissa Puta, with the morning brief in brief.
Thulasizwe Simelane on SAFM.
On the weather front, there are two warnings that have come through from the Weather Service. The first one is a yellow level 2 warning. It is for severe thunderstorms accompanied by heavy downpours, excessive lightning, damaging winds and large amounts of small hail, resulting in localized flooding of susceptible roads, low-lying areas and bridges, and localized damage to infrastructure, settlements, property, and vehicles. Those conditions are expected over the eastern parts of the northwest, eastern parts of the Free State, Gauteng, Mpumalanga, except in the extreme northeast, as well as the extreme southeastern parts of Limpopo. There's also a yellow level 1 warning. It is for disruptive rainfall, resulting in localized flooding of susceptible formal and informal settlements or roads, low-lying areas and bridges, difficult driving conditions on dirt roads, and minor motor vehicle accidents due to slippery roads and/or reduced visibility. That is expected over parts of the eastern parts of KwaZulu-Natal. The rest of your weather looks like this. Pretoria, cloudy with scattered showers and thunder showers, 15 to 26. Johannesburg, cloudy with scattered showers and thunder showers, 14 to 24. Vereeniging, cloudy with scattered showers and thunder showers, 14 to 25. Bombela, cloudy with scattered showers and thunder showers, 17 to 19. Same conditions in Polokwane, 17 to 24. Same conditions in Mahikeng, 15 to 29. Bloemfontein, partly cloudy with scattered showers and thunder showers, 14 to 27. Same conditions in Kimberley with a minimum of 16 and a maximum of 29. Uppington, partly cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 16 to 34. Cape Town will be fine with a minimum of 15 and a maximum of 33. George, fine, 12 to 25. Gqeberha, partly cloudy, 15 to 22. East London will be cloudy, 16 to 22. Durban, cloudy with scattered showers and thunder showers, 19 to 22. Richards Bay, cloudy with scattered showers and thunder showers, 20 to 23. And lastly, Pietermaritzburg, cloudy with scattered showers and thunder showers, 16 to 20.
48 countries have gathered in the Middle East for the massive FIFA Under-17 World Cup Qatar 2025. It's game on everywhere. Rally behind Mzansi's Amajimbos and 9 African nations as they chase glory on the world stage. Catch the action live on SABC Plus, SABC radio stations, and SABC TV channels from 3 to 27 November 2025. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
Worldview Update, bringing you closer to international or global news.
23 minutes after 6, at least 104 Palestinians, including 46 children and 20 women, were killed in a series of Israeli airstrikes on Gaza on Tuesday night, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. The Israeli military says it targeted, quote, dozens of terror sites and terrorists, end quote, in retaliation for an alleged Hamas attack that killed an Israeli soldier and for violations of the U.S. brokered ceasefire deal. Hamas has denied responsibility for the attack, insisting it remains committed to the agreement. Let's speak to Thembi Safagute, Director at Africa-Asia Dialogues and also a global governance analyst. Good morning to you, Thembi, and thank you for your time. How does the latest strikes on Gaza by Israel, as well as the allegations of violations of the ceasefire being alleged by Israel against Hamas, how do they sit against the ceasefire deal itself and the concerns about its tenuous nature and whether or not it will hold?
Well, we've been here before. This is not something that Benjamin is kind of protected. Career was going to violate this. We've done it before. This time around, of course, we heard that he to hit Gaza hard, notwithstanding that there was in place. He is the one who's threatening this, and of course, currently he's not long listening to Donald Trump. He's doing it every season. I think you're likely to see more because, and by the way, these are days, a couple hours or days after JD Vance, the U.S. Vice President visited Israel. Is it's in time for the Palestinians who are no longer sure to do. They can currently for construction. They are feeling whether it's worth them to invest energy in infrastructural plans if Benedict will once again destroy uh, this.
What of the role of Hamas, Tembisa? Because part of the accusation is that they have not been keeping their end of the bargain as far as the release of the bodies of dead hostages are concerned. One video that has come out, and in fact, the international community of the Red Cross saying that they were unwittingly, in a way, duped into participating in what ended up being a ruse, as far as that is concerned. In that there's an incident where Hamas basically, instead of handing over the body of a dead hostage, they actually took body parts of a hostage that had been released um, months earlier. So there's that criticism against Hamas.
Well, this discussion was held at length during the post, and for anyone who has been observing the current people in Gaza, it's simply impossible to guarantee or give guarantees that were because of the construction of the rubble. And this was understood, communicated not only in Doha but also in Egypt, that Hamas need one a certain type of equipment for them to excavate, making sure that they retrieve physics and simply and practically impossible for them to. Number two is Hamas has been open in terms of ability to one guarantee and ascertain the identity of those that are over trying. But it's not only Hamas, by the way, that's in charge of this, dealing with it. Other factions doing, but given the level of this, it's simply impossible for any country or organization really give certainty and guarantees. Buried under the ground, will be able to be assisted, particularly with the unwillingness to provide all
Yeah.
excavation to allow.
All right, let's leave it there for this morning. Thank you for your time and your insights. Tembi Safagut, the director at Africa Asia Dialogues, also a global governance analyst.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Are they called the Roses?
Yeah,
So the
yes.
Proteas trampled the roses.
Yeah, what did we do to
Violence
them?
among the flowers.
Yes, yes, we deflowered them like you have no idea. In that way,
It
I
didn't
meant
just okay. Continue, please.
it's a literal sense, guys. Let me
Okay.
just tell you, this, the first game we were terrible. We were like, what, fish and chips? Anyway, we came back and we served like you have never seen us serve. Even Marizan Cup etching her name into cricketing history, becoming the ICC Women's World Cup all-time leading wicket taker. Try saying that in one breath. And she's done it with her 44th scalp, her fiery spell of 5 for 20, dismantling England's top order. And the other end, we had Captain Laura Wolfart delivering one of the greatest innings ever seen on stage, anchoring South Africa's charge. What a knock! 125 run was our victory in yesterday's semi-final, and Cup just crediting the team's composure.
There was a calmness in the group this morning for some reason. We just felt like what will happen will happen. And yeah, I think once we lost the toss, I was actually happy that we batted first. Just looking at the stats of this ground and how it's been going this World Cup, I feel like they probably felt like they were going to roll us over, like we did in the first game against them. But I feel like our two openers set it up beautifully for us to come in and just play our natural game.
In the meantime, more cricket. The Titans edging out the Tuskers by 9 runs. It was thrilling cricket South Africa T20 Challenge opener at the Pietermaritzburg Oval. Keegan Lyon Cachet starred with 54 off 35 as the Titans posted 151 for 7. The Tuskers were bowled out for 142. Soccer action. Maruma Gallants booking their place in the Carling Knockout Cup semi-finals. 4-0 was their victory over Stellenbosch FC in torrential rain. Elsewhere, South Africa's under-17 men's national team wrapping up their final home preparations ahead of their departure to Qatar for the FIFA Under-17 World Cup. Coach Vela Kumalo's side will compete against the world's best from the 3rd to the 27th of November. Elsewhere, Liverpool suffered defeat again, 3-0. That was the score line at Anfield, and they did not put themselves into the Carabao Cup quarterfinals. It will be Crystal Palace. In the other match, Arsenal moved into the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup. They had a 2-0 win over Brighton, and Man City progressed as well. They came from behind to beat Championship Swansea 3-1 in South Wales. That's your sport. We'll kick it up with more sport. Top of the hour. I'm Zaikan.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, police have confirmed the arrest of a 20-year-old suspect in connection with the killing of two people in Westbury, Johannesburg earlier this month. They say they've made the arrest at a high school in Diepkloof yesterday afternoon following a tip-off. Witness C will return to the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria this morning. He did not finish his testimony last week, where he focused on the search and seizure operation police conducted at the home of businessman and alleged criminal cartel member Vusimuzi Kat Matlala. And Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness says his government is working to restore power and communications. This after Hurricane Melissa caused total devastation in some parts of the island. I'll have details on these and other stories at 7.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Just an update on the N3 between Van Rienens and Swinburne. The road is now closed. Been a fatal crash there this morning. It happened on the Joburg-bound carriageway. Both lanes were restricted, but the authorities have now stepped in and closed it down for a while, obviously for recovery. So there will be a stacking situation if you're moving between Van Rienens Pass and Harry Smith. Just be aware of that. Quite lengthy backlogs in that area around that closure. You might want to choose to arrive a little bit later. Looking fairly standard across Joburg. That would include delays on Mike 1 Boysons through Parktown, and the N3 queuing up from Alex up towards the Buccleuch interchange into the roadworks. They continue apace. Durban side, still no traffic lights. Commercial Highway, Duffs Road, and the N2. That cable theft problem still with us. Truck losing a load of large steel coils on Sani Road up by Umbilo Road, just by the Umbilo fire station. That's likely to just slow things down. Probably high volume of trucks on that route through as well in that area. And Cape Town, no major problems. N2 inbound from around about sort of Robert Sobukwe through to Mowbray Main Road is already so. And we saw this yesterday. Just a heads up, if you come up from Strandfontein Road, just moving into sort of Ottery area around 5th Avenue, looking very slow again. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
This October month, SAFM shines a light on mental health awareness. This month, we bring you conversations that break the stigma, encourage care, and provide strategies to protect your mental well-being. Because it's okay not to be okay, and together, we can build a healthier tomorrow. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The Business Update on SAFM.
All right, let's turn to Dowling for the first update of the morning. Dowling, we'll start with news to do with monetary policy in the United States. Tell me about the Fed cutting rates.
Morning, Thulasizwe delivered second consecutive rate cut, 25 basis point cut as expected, and it said it will stop its balance sheet reduction from the 1st of September, giving a policy known as quantitative tightening, and to the reverse of the pandemic era bond drain, which had been draining cash from the financial system to curb inflation. Stopping this told that the U.S. economy is losing steam. Looking at rate tax, officials cited slowing job gains and rising risk to employment, but divisions remain among governors. One governor pushed for a larger half-point cut, while another wanted more economic government added to the uncertainty, leaving policymakers with limited data. Two of showing these still above and job economic say the Fed needs to move support needs of the economy.
And tell me about big tech companies upping their game as far as AI is concerned.
Now, the first batch of tech earnings are out. Alphabet, Microsoft, and Meta all it's on the back of the AI boom. Alphabet core ad and YouTube businesses held firm, while its cloud division became the standout, boosted by strong demand for AI computing. The company is ramping up investment in data centers and its claim as infrastructure behind AI economy. Microsoft revealed previous week it is now continues within supported by corporate demand for AI tools. This executive warned that the cost of keeping up with that demand is rising fast as companies build capacity of AI and enterprise clients. Meta, in the meantime, their results were quite mixed. Strong ad sales were offset by a tax charge and urgent AI-related spending from new data centers. It's fundamental range and smart development. Analysts welcome the numbers, and AI remains powerful growth engine. Next one as continue to increase AI spending.
Lastly, Dowling, recap for us how we closed yesterday and how we are starting the day today in the markets.
The U.S. stocks closed mostly in the red, while 25 point Fed rate cut. They are concerned about growth. Tech-heavy Nasdaq only index green, right? By earnings is the market. Like I said, the such rebound in the gaining 2.2%, leading 12% rise in the state. Over in market, this it's trading at 2 oil on the back down a third of a percent at $64 per barrel. Then lastly in Asia, trade copy within this following news flow from the meeting between President Trump and his counterpart Xi Jinping.
All right, Dowling, thank you for that. We'll catch up with you in the second hour of the show just after 7:30.
Africa Update on SAFM.
For that, let's turn to Sipho Mantula. Raz, good morning. Let's start in Tanzania. Vote counting underway. All right, we're battling with Sipho Mantula there. Let's see if we can come back to Sipho. Among the stories that he's going to be covering is the voting that took place yesterday in Tanzania and how that is panning out and around the security arrangements in the wake of that voting. Sipho, I believe we have you on the line now. Let's start in Tanzania. Tell me about vote counting underway amid tight security.
Refreshing morning, Tulas, and Jumbo Africa to the listeners. Indeed, Tulas, voting, counting, it is underway. Voting at Tulas, despite that, what we heard, there was a curfew around 6 o'clock in the evening. There was a demonstration by the young people. We know Tulas is around all those political opposition leaders who were not allowed to contest. So there was burning of police stations, there was rocks in the streets of Tulas, because it seems that the young people are not happy with how those elections have turned out. Tulas is struggling with the AU and the starting mission that Tulas give us the insight of what has happened yesterday. We are still waiting. It seems that, remember, 7 days for them to can pronounce, it might take waiting to hear how did the Tanzanians decide. This vote a lot out in the capital city of Dar es Salaam. I don't know about Arusha. We are not sure about Zanzibar. Get it from Tanzania.
Yahya Jammeh left the Gambia under difficult circumstances. This is after he had been defeated by Adama Barrow, but refused to leave. Now he's planning to come back to the Gambia, but that's not going down well with authorities there.
That is quite true. The Gambia, Thulasizwe will call it the Bahamas. These are two countries in the world that didn't call it Gambia. The Gambia. So, 2017, Yahya Jammeh fled to Equatorial Guinea, as you have said. And Adam Barrow was also had to be inaugurated in Ivory Coast, if you will recall. Now, Adam Barrow is warning that this of returning from next month will not take it because they know that there's been almost 5 years to us now, and he plunged on in crisis. We won't allow him to return. And that Yahya Jammeh ruled in Gambia for 2 years to the findings of the Truth and Reconciliation and Reparation Commission in Gambia. We have some credible evidence on the findings of what he has done. So hence they say won't allow Yahya Jammeh to land into Gambia.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right about the definitive article, the Gambia. So don't mistake it. It's not Gambia, no, the Gambia. Tell me what former President Jacob Zuma is doing in the land of the upright.
Thulas is in the land of the so using the member of the parliament of the portfolio community of Beautiful alongside his father, the former president is Ouagadougou, take part in the Afro in the conference. It's this weekend Thulas said for him as a part of the conference in the of November. They called and then you the speaker in Thulas now Jacob Zuma when he Ouagadougou received by Nabe diplomacy. He said that we are happy to be here. The first and some signal countries to then support people of Zuma is in the past. Hopefully, they won't do what they did for heavy the country.
Let's see how that pans out and see if it would be controversial if it happened, because the dynamics may be slightly different there, Sipho. Lastly, in your historical archive, 30 October 2002, an event that spawned one of the longest running trials in the history of the country, yeah?
Absolutely, Thulas. 23 years ago, we'll recall the Buramaf. Just after midnight on the day, it was 8 bomb blasted at Roxwood and Bronco Street, Thulas. The total damage 2 million, but more than 200 commuters were using the trains were not able to go to work, Thulas. Then we will recall that those issues of Buramaf don't know what was the link. And it was during the time of the levy and Eastern Commitment Check. With the levy, we had to go into the media and announce what is this. I mean, this is writing Burama who have claimed that they are the ones who have so and reduce what people believe and the reason is so peace for in South Africa. So I'm just going to that's the conversation. Let's have observing human rights.
Sipho, thank you for that. That's Sipho Mandula there with your Africa update for this morning.
This is Thulasizwe Simelane on the Morning Brief.
17 minutes to 7. What is it that you do? That question landed hard in Parliament, echoing through the ad hoc committee currently investigating allegations of criminality, political interference and corruption in the police. This as Deputy Minister in the Police Department, Hassel Matale, faced MPs asking just what his daily duties are. Matale revealed that neither he nor his fellow deputy, Polly Bushielo, have been assigned any formal powers months after taking office. And according to him, that's because the on-leave minister, Senzo Mchunu, was still, quote-unquote, familiarizing himself with the policing environment. He told MPs, and I quote here, "We don't have delegated powers signed off to say this is what you do, but we had work to do," end quote. So the revelation, as you can imagine, has reignited the debate over whether the country needs deputy ministers at all, with Action SA renewing its call to amend the constitution to abolish the posts entirely. Let's speak to that party's parliamentary caucus leader, Athol Trollip, who joins me now. Good morning to you, Athol, and thank you for your time. How does this case make your case against the positions of deputy minister in the country?
Good morning, Thulasizwe, and good morning to your listeners. Thanks very much for the opportunity to talk about the private members' bill that I've initiated in Parliament. It's a constitutional amendment to do away with the deputy ministers entirely. And if I can stay with police, I think there are two very good examples of why this legislation is true. Yes, we've got the biggest, most promoted cabinet in the world. 52 ministries and 43 deputy ministers. That's our concern. And we just spend too much money on this cabinet and deputy minister. Then we saw when the police minister was placed in Senzamfuno, saw that the president didn't use one of the deputy ministers who you think would be the perfect people to stand in for a minister on suspension, or even to replace a minister because they worked in the environment. The president went outside of cabinet, outside of parliament, outside of his voted deputy ministers, and went and found Firoz Katalia from academia to act as the minister. And Firoz Katalia, remember, said that there is no such thing as an acting minister. There's no constitutional provision for that. He's the minister. Right. We've got a minister of police, new one, who's filling in for an acting minister. And then when the deputy minister goes before the ad hoc committee and says that he has no jobs assigned to him, no specific responsibility, and no delegation being given to him by his minister 15 months after being appointed, to me, validates our call to remove deputy ministers because they are actually redundant. How can you be working and not have jobs, what it is you're supposed to be doing? Because how do you get evaluated for work? And then lastly, two deputy ministers in the Ministry of Police, they both have VIP protection services. They both have staff components. They have housing, and they have all the perks that go with being a deputy minister. Yet both of them have no direct responsibility. It's time for deputy ministers.
Why is abolishing the position of deputy minister the go-to remedy as opposed to fixing the quirk, Ethel, that is in the constitution that says when a minister is absent, the president must appoint a person to stand in from within the cabinet? Why not fix that quirk and perhaps either by making deputy ministers members of the cabinet such that they can be appointed to act when their principal is not there, or working into the constitution specific tasks that are then assigned to deputy ministers? Why go the route of abolishing altogether?
Well, Thulasizwe, I think partly you've answered your question. But let me answer. First of all, it's just too costly to have a cabinet the size of ours. There are many countries in the world that have much larger populations with much greater economies. And, they'll run a cabinet of between 50 and 25. So examples are there. You don't need a whole host of deputy ministers to run departments effectively. And then secondly, you said it. Why must the president allocate another minister to in place of a minister that's indisposed? That indicates that the positions of deputy ministers are really redundant. If you're going to replace the minister with another minister to act in another department, you really are saying that deputy minister positions of power. And we saw what happened with the GNU. Any parties in the GNU were campaigning before the election.
Yeah.
To have the cabinet reduced size. As soon as they went into the GNU, the cabinet just gave up choosing. Because it then became about taking positions in cabinet, the more the better. So really, we can't afford the cabinet for 1,000 hours in this country. We should use the minister of those, the budget of those two deputy police ministers to find more resources for the police, vehicles, stationery, means to be able to do their work,
right,
so that they can get ballistic. We've seen in the ad hoc committee what a disaster our ballistic section is, and we could use that money much more effectively than having two ghost workers in the Department of Police.
Admittedly, I've not done the empirical work to back up my belief that the track record is not great as far as private members' bills are concerned, not emanating as they do, not emanating usually from within the executive. How much work has gone into advancing your private members' bill at this point?
Yeah, thanks, Thulasizwe. This bill has gone a long, long way. It was initiated by ourselves. It then went to the law advisors who checked it for constitutionality, that it doesn't infringe on the provisions of the Constitution. Then it goes out for public comment. We've received public comment on it, very positive public comment on it. And then it will be tabled in Parliament for consideration of all the political parties. Now, that's going to be the rubber hits the road. Some political parties will obviously not support it because they enjoy the position of the big cabinet, and other parties will support it. We will now be canvassing support of other political parties. And then, if it doesn't succeed, not the end of the world, but at least South Africans will know which political parties are endorsing having a blanket cabinet so that they can enjoy the patronage of it, and which political parties oppose the size of the cabinet and support it to be reduced in size.
Because that's all you will need a significant amount of support, won't you? This being a constitutional amendment, 2/3 majority.
Well, that's a 2/3 majority. That's what makes this one really very difficult. That's why these examples that happen in ad hoc fashion and are exposed, like you were doing on your show this morning, the deputy minister, a whole deputy minister, in the department where there are two of them, saying that they don't have any delegation of responsibility after 16 months of being a deputy minister.
All right, let's leave it there for this morning. Thank you for your time. Ethel Trollip is Action SA's Parliamentary Caucus leader.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. What is unfolding down in the Free State this morning is an absolute tragedy. It's a major crash between a taxi and a truck. 8 fatalities at least at that scene. The road is closed. It's happened between Swinburne and Funreenen. So if you're moving between Joburg and Durban, factor in a road closure, some heavy delays, and you might want to consider that alternative if you're close enough to that and don't want to just go sort of proceed up Funreenens or down from Harrismith and sit on the highway. The R74 Oliviers Hoek Pass, a lot better than it used to be. That'll take you down through Winterton, Bergville, and back onto the N3 highway. So just think about that. Otherwise, delay your travel. Likely that the N3 will be closed fully for some time this morning, given the tragic nature of what's unfolding there. Joburg not off to such a bad start. Delays in all the sort of usual places, including again today the often busy N1 North. There seems to be a crash in the Deepcliff interchange. N1 coming up from Eldo's absolutely jam-packed, trying to get through to that Uncle Charlie's junction. N17 through Boksburg towards Wadeville slow. Into the single lane section, and the main road coming through from Lone Hill down into Bryanston. That's really busy this morning. Crash in Pretoria, N1 south between Stormville and the N4 Emalani Highway. So some extra delays as you come down from the Montana side. Durban's N2 north queuing up into Westwood Mall already. The M4 going south from Umhlanga down through Virginia Airport. That is quite slow going. Cape Town side, the N2 inbound, pretty heavy this morning from Robert Sobukwe just after the airport all the way through to Mowbray Main Road, and sand on Baden-Powell perhaps a little heavier than it was yesterday morning. Not surprising given the big winds. It was blowing yesterday in Cape Town, of course, the windy area, and all of that sand is just blowing up. More of that sand's blown up on Baden-Powell, so go carefully, please, at the famous Sandy Corner, bottom of Khayelitsha at Monroe, BC. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
So, Taryn, you've just graduated cum laude, but nothing says you're a genius quite like selling your car to We Buy Cars.
Absolutely. My car was an 18th birthday present, and it's time to move on to something a bit more mature.
So where did you hear about We Buy Cars?
All of my friends are using We Buy Cars. I would have had legit FOMO if I hadn't used them. And it was so quick. I did it on my laptop while sending around my CV.
Smart move, Taryn. Graduated and upgraded. We Buy Cars. Geared for success. Geared for you.
Call Thulasizwe now. 086 000 2032.
So there's a message here from someone who calls themselves Patriotic Ivan in Cape Town. And Patriotic Ivan says, I bet I'm speaking on behalf of people that cannot afford paid television channels. It shall be embarrassing if the country's poor cannot watch our first ever Women's World Cup cricket final like the other sports codes. We would want to be part of it. Every uninterested codes are televised. Uninteresting codes are televised. Please do enlighten us on radio, says Patriotic Ivan, and also calling on the Minister of Sport, someone like the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Mr. Gayton Mackenzie, should act, says Patriotic Ivan, as far as that situation is concerned. So that's what on his mind this morning. Let me hear what's on the minds of some of our callers. Let me start with Khotso in Maluti Pofung. Good morning to you, Khotso.
Kgotso Thulasizwe Simelane. Hoe gaan
Khotso
dit met
ntate. Goed, dankie. Hoe gaan dit met u?
Kgotso ntate.
Mhm.
Phew. Thula. Thula, what's happening in England? Most of the people, yes, that are happening.
Hey,
I
brother.
think we can call it political game.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You need financial institutions.
Mm.
He can't make a job remove
Mhm. Mm.
financial financial make anything to tell the people from us to remove him. Like people. So this is we call it a professional political game. So at least the
So you think the motion of no confidence will carry against, despite the fact that a number of political parties have said we're not interested in that motion of no confidence against the premier? You believe it will carry?
that motion will never be
Oh, okay.
because that motion will never be the DA will motion the motion will continue the budget. It will run.
All right. All right, Khotso, thank you for that. That's Khotso in Maluti Pofung. Let me go to Putana in Rosebank. Good morning.
Tulas, my brother, good morning. It's so disheartening to listen to leaders of the ANC who have been subjected to criminal activities and they account for nothing. Listen to the minister, Dr. Makala. He didn't hear nothing. He was not anything. Announced the rules. I'm just here for 15 months.
Deputy Minister Angaz.
Announced the law for 15 months. And Tulas, they are burning 100 million. Spending 100 million only of those portfolios, let alone the conflict dishonest minister, let alone that one. And to us, listen to this. The key areas that they have to focus on the ballistic portfolio where there's a shortage of employees and there are backlog of guns and bullets and the cases they are about to be thrown out in court. They are not prioritizing that. All is about themselves. It's just so frustrating with this people. What is your mental thinking about this country?
Yeah.
They put us in hell and defrauding us. They're defrauding us. How do you take 100 million not working? You can't even explain your task on daily basis. And we are a minister. And it's not only one minister. How many ministers are there? About 5.
Yeah. No, hey, Putan, I don't know what to say. Yeah, but thank you for raising that. I really don't know what to say. It kind of reminded me. There's a scene that played out a couple of weeks ago when the local cooperative governance and traditional affairs committee of parliament led by Zweli Mkhize were doing hearings. I think it was in the Free State. I want to say Free State. Oh my goodness! If I can find that, I'll ask. We should play it just gratuitously, actually, and say nothing about it. Just play it for you to hear if you didn't hear it. That exact same question. What do you do? And you should hear how these officials were contorting themselves into all forms of awkward positions, trying to. And he kept saying, "Did Zelun Kize?" No, 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 no. The question is simple. Once you've paid yourself the salaries, what do you do? Chair, we have programs. Anyway, and Musa on standby with the news.
Outsurance is in the business of saving you money on your car insurance premium. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754.
In our top stories, suspect arrested in connection with the deadly Westbury shooting and witness C returns to the Matlanga Commission. Good morning. We start with news just in. 8 people have been killed in a collision between a minibus taxi and a truck on the N3 highway between Van Rieneens Pass and Montrose in the Free State. Emergency Medical Services spokesperson Sipotoa says the affected part of the road has been closed. We'll have more details in our next bulletin. Police have confirmed the arrest of a 20-year-old suspect in connection with the killing of 2 people in Westbury, Johannesburg earlier this month. The suspect was arrested at a high school in Diepkloof yesterday following a tip-off. A total of 7 teenagers were shot in the incident. 5 of them were wounded. Gauteng Police spokesperson Brenda Muradili.
Investigations are ongoing to track down the remaining suspects. 2 of the 5 injured victims have since been discharged from hospital. The SAPS urges the public to assist in the investigation by providing any relevant information to the crime stop number 08600 10111, where callers can remain anonymous.
Witness C will return to the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria this morning. He did not finish his testimony last week, where he focused on the search and seizure operation police conducted at the home of businessman and alleged criminal cartel member Thulasizwe Simelane. The witness will testify off-camera from a remote location. Sibahle Mota reports.
Last week, witness C testified about how attempted murder accused Thulasizwe Simelane dropped the names of prominent police officers he is close with when police descended at his home in December 2024. They included the names of Deputy National Police Commissioner Shedrick Sibiya, Counterintelligence Head Feroz Khan, Organized Crime Head Richard Shibiri, and KwaZulu-Natal Hawks boss Liseja Sinona. Witness C further testified that he believes Pretoria businessman and farmer Jerry Bushokga was kept at Matlala Centurion home. Bushokga has been missing for over a year.
The DA has criticized the Gauteng Education Department for reducing its subsidies to quintile 5 schools for the 2026 academic year. Although the party admits the move is within the department's right, it says the schools were only notified after the legislated deadline of the 30th of September. The DA warns the 65% reduction in subsidies will cause additional financial pressure on parents and may lead to significant fee increases. DA Gauteng Shadow MEC for Education, Sergio Issa dos Santos.
The information that we have received is that Boston reformed the schools between the 7th and the 10th of October. So the problem here is that we have started with the data process, the academic year. Obviously, also assuming that they would have the same thing in previous year. Now, all the schools have to deadline. In fact, that when we look at the difference in the subsidies, we're looking at from 829 range to 301 range per learner.
And finally, Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness says his government is working to restore power and communication. This after Hurricane Melissa caused total devastation in some parts of the island. Holness says the town of Black River has been totally destroyed. These people are relieved there is not much damage in their area.
I'm 54 and I witnessed about 3 dangerous storms, but this last one but worse. The wind, it was violent, it was terrible.
I've been through a storm already, so I know what to expect.
I think it was going to be worse because how the wind was going, it's still good because we only lost 2 trees and stuff like that. My neighbor lost her roof and it damaged our house, but that's it.
Recapping the top story, 8 people have been killed in a collision between a minibus taxi and a truck on the N3 highway between Van Riemen's Pass and Montrose in the Free State. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754.
52-year-old Janine turned her car insurance premium into a win, not a worry. Without insurance, she now pays only 561 Rand a month for her 2024 Kia Picanto. And with just one call, Outsurance got 29-year-old Tsana on track with a premium of just 796 Rand a month for her 2025 Jetor Dashing. Ready to get more out of your car insurance? SMS out to 30754 today. That's out to 30754. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
A very good morning to you in your SFM Sports Headlines. Cricket action, Laura Wolfart and Marizanne Cup. Their brilliance fire South Africa into the ICC Women's World Cup final after crushing England. And the Springboks, they turn to Cheslin Colby's versatility as well as Sasha Feinberg in Ngomazulu when they take on Japan. We'll have details just before 7:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Morning, absolutely terrible, tragic situation that's unfolding down in the Free State with multiple fatalities at a truck and taxi crash scene between Van Riemen and Swinburne, Montrose area. The N3 is currently closed and possibly will be for some time, given the nature of this crash. So if you're moving between Joburg and Durban, if you're south of Harrismith or north of Van Riemen's Pass, you're just going to be entering an operation stack with absolutely nowhere to go. So the R74, Oliviers Hoek Pass via Bergville and Harrismith, the R74, that's going to be your alternative route to keep yourself moving. If you're not in that area, you might want to pull over and have a very long sort of breakfast break and just wait this one out. Otherwise, look for that R74 because that N3 closed with no access through that scene at this stage. Pretoria, the M1 South Montana down to the N4 is heavy. There's a crash on that route just before the N4 Emilifani split. The N3 heavy getting up into Joburg's Buccleuch. That's northbound into the roadwork, southbound at London Road starting to queue up. And the N1 north through Deepcliff Interchange busy after an earlier crash this morning. Durban side, the N2 going north up into Westwood Mall, that is slow. A truck losing its load, Sarnia Road near Umbilo train station, near Umbilo fire station to watch out for. And Cape Town, the M1 inbound slow from Plattekloof Hill to Sable Road. N2 backlogging just after the airport. You'll sit through to Hospital Bend. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
8 minutes after 7. Welcome to it, the second hour of the morning brief on this Thursday. It is great to be in your company. Among some of what we will cover in this hour, we'll be in conversation with the Mayor of Cape Town, Jordan Hill-Lewis, just getting a local government perspective on the issues of the wave of violence and in particular gang violence that has been sweeping through communities in the Cape Flats. You will know about the bone of contention between the Western Cape government and the national government around the issue of devolution of policing powers. The Western Cape authorities insisting that that would make a big difference in their ability to directly respond. They say that there's been, the vibes are positive when they engage national government, but it never really gets to move forward and has become something of a political tug of war between the two spheres of government. But what other than that, what other interventions are being put in place within the scope of the powers of local government? And I think that's one of the key questions I want to hear Jordan Hill-Lewis answering in the next few minutes. And then immediately after that, we'll be focusing on stalled construction projects as well as neglected state buildings. What's the plan there? More plans being unveiled by the Minister for Public Works and Infrastructure, Dean McPherson. So we'll talk to him after that to just get a sense of that, the latest national recovery plan, targeting specifically those neglected construction projects or failing and slowed down, really, construction projects. Do weigh in on these and other conversations, including the conversation we started in the last hour about the positions of deputy ministers, as well as people who cannot account for what it is that they do on a daily basis. I promise you, tomorrow I will have the clip I'm talking about. If you saw it, do call in and share with me. We will just play it gratuitously, not for anything else, just to say, look. Anyway, the number to dial 086 000 2032. Your WhatsApp voice notes 0614 104 107. Let's get into it then. The second hour of the morning brief on this Thursday.
I don't love going to school. I don't love sitting in a classroom with 50 other children, but I do love learning. Ndiyakuthanda ukufunda isiXhosa as a language. I do love getting good grades. I do love UCT Online High School because I do love my future. Apply online before 28 November.
Makoti Down Products is a proudly South African family business, started more than 30 years ago with 12 geese and a piece of material. Makoti manufactures duvets, pillows, sleeping bags, and high-quality Egyptian cotton linen. Our Down products are suitable for people with dust mite allergies and come with a lifelong guarantee. And we offer a nationwide cleaning service for all your feather and down products. Visit us at makoti.co.za or call us on 041 992 395. For quality down, Makoti Down.
Thulasizwe Simelane on SAFM.
It's coming up to 12 minutes after 7. We've told you about a wave of violence sweeping across several Cape Flats communities over the last weekend. In fact, the past weekend being one of those where there was a significant flare-up with at least 22 people dead and 16 critically injured. The bloodshed, which spanned multiple neighborhoods between Friday and Sunday, has prompted renewed calls for drastic government intervention to stem escalating gang warfare. Let's get the perspective of Jordan Hill Lewis, who is the executive mayor of the city of Cape Town. Good morning to you, Mayor, and thank you for your time this morning. I know that policing is a national function, but you've been in this tug of war about whether or not to devolve the powers. We'll get into that in a moment, but just give me your perspective. You are closer to these communities. What is driving this flare-up of violence?
Well, that is a great question. The honest answer is that we do not know. One of the big complaints and concerns we've had around the state of policing in South Africa is that crime intelligence is basically defunct. We know that all the corruption and other concerns that we've had around crime intelligence have given rise to this inquiry now and so on. But the fact is that crime intelligence never even speaks to it. I have not heard from crime intelligence in probably more than a year. And it's clear to me that they have no idea what is causing these things. But I can guess, and we can debate whether our guesses are right. And I think the reason is because many of the senior leaders of the major gangs in Cape Town have been arrested, and they're all awaiting trial. And so there is a leadership vacuum on the ground, on the street. And so there are different factions trying to fight for the control of those gangs. And so when the leaders are removed, you actually get this very perverse kind of consequence where you get this outbreak of violence to fill the leadership vacuum. That is a educated guess, but it would be really helpful if crime intelligence could do their jobs and tell us what is causing this.
So how would the changes in how policing is managed in terms of the scheme of the constitution and legislation, what difference would it make in that situation?
Well, when we arrest these guys, we could actually make sure that they go to prison. At the moment, they're being released all the time and being recycled back onto the street. And we take off streets hundreds of illegal firearms, and most of those cases most of those suspects just get recycled back onto the street, sometimes within days. And 95% of those cases do not lead to conviction. Only 5% of them do. And the issue in South Africa, there are lots of issues in South Africa.
one of the biggest, the failure of investigating and prosecuting. And I don't blame police detectives for this. Met with many detectives, and all of them tell me the same thing. They all have 300 cases plus in their desk, and they cannot investigate those cases properly when they're just so flooded. So that is why we've specifically focused our attention on the need to get investigating powers so that we can do that better and make sure we get convicted.
So you don't have the investigating powers that would help build the cases, but you do have the wherewithal as far as boots on the ground of peace officers in your Metro Police and the likes. Are you deploying those? What numbers have you escalated that given the crisis that's playing itself out?
Yes, this year we've just deployed 800 further officers, new officers. And in those gang hotspots, we already have just over 1,000 officers deployed there, working on 350 officers per shift in those gang hotspots.
Is that enough?
And well, probably not. Probably not. That is what we are paying for entirely ourselves. It's not something that we are getting any support in doing. And again, as you said in the introduction, that's not something we're even supposed to be doing. It should be police officers doing that.
Well, as far as the peace officers are concerned, that is part of their duties. The ratepayers pay you to employ these people whose functions include law enforcement. We've parked the conversation about fixing crime intelligence and investigation to build cases to get to the root of gangs. But as far as stabilization, force multiplier, that's what the ratepayers pay you for.
Yes, that is what we are doing. But keep in mind, primary function of a law enforcement officer is to do municipal bylaw enforcement, traffic enforcement. It is not supposed to be getting involved in actual crime fighting. We do that gladly because we have to. We don't shy away from it. But it would be very nice to see additional deployments of traffic officers in those hotspots, matching anywhere near our numbers. I guarantee you, in those hotspots, there are nowhere near 1,000 chapter officers in those hotspots. Residents will tell you that when they are shots fired, usually it's the city's law enforcement and Metro Police who are the first responders. So we are certainly doing our part. We would like to do even more, but for that we do need those additional support.
In situations like these, Mayor, I imagine from your own experience in leadership, presence, empathy, and listening are also just as important. When last were you in areas like Mitchell's Plain, Manenberg, Lavender Hill, Delft, Pontejevel, and the likes, specifically to hear communities out on this, on these issues and to solutions workshop with them?
So this is where I spent every single day traveling across every single community of Cape. I'm in those communities absolutely weekly. I was there yesterday in a part of Africa, and that is also very hard hit.
And the other areas in terms of solutions workshopping with them. I understand that you visit communities and you are in communities every day, but specifically focusing on this on this pain point of these communities, yeah?
Last week, Ottery, Steenberg, Grassy Park, Lavender Hill, that was last week. Week before that, many more.
Lastly then, Mayor, let me ask you about what other solutions are being workshopped in that work that you do, over and above the issues around law enforcement and strengthening that we've discussed in the last few minutes. When you engage these communities, the socio-economics, the root causes of some of what drives gangsterism and drugs, what are the solutions and how far along are you in implementing those that are within your scope and cause of your work?
Yeah, so I mean, this is an interesting debate because many people will say the root cause is poverty, but the root cause is not poverty because there are many poorer communities in Cape Town where you don't have that level of gangsterism and even poorer than those communities. Cape Town, of course, as we know, has the lowest unemployment rate in South Africa. It's still high. It is still the lowest of any city. So you've got cities around the country in Buffalo City or in Bloem or whatever, where you've got much higher levels of unemployment, but you don't have that level of violence. So there is also a deeply ingrained gangsterism problem where obviously closely linked to drugs and money. That is very, very, very difficult to root out. And I think the only way to do it is to have a properly effective criminal justice system that can actually make sure that people who are committing smaller crimes when they are younger, before they become hardened gangsters, are actually you can intervene at that level already and get them the attention that they need and require.
All right. Let's leave it there for this morning. I've got to thank you for your time and your insights. That's the mayor of the city of Joburg, Jordan Hill Lewis.
This October month, SFM shines a light on mental health awareness. This month, we bring you conversations that break the stigma, encourage care, and provide strategies to protect your mental well-being. Because it's okay not to be okay, and together, we can build a healthier tomorrow. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
The only talk radio morning breakfast show that makes sense. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane.
So it's been pointed out to me that in my outro from that interview with Jordan Hill Lewis, I did a switcheroo. I somehow did a reshuffle and reshuffled Dada Morero out and said that Jordan Hill Lewis was the mayor of the city of Joburg. My apologies. Mayor of the city of Cape Town, Jordan Hill Lewis. Dada Morero remains in office in Joburg. Let's talk infrastructure with Minister Dean McPherson, who has unveiled a plan, a recovery plan that is about reviving failing construction projects as well as the plan around neglected state buildings. The minister briefing the media yesterday in Cape Town on the outcomes of a special MINMAC. This is the ministers and members of the executive councils that are responsible for public works in the various provinces. And the minister joins me now. Minister Dean McPherson, good morning and thank you for your time. So let's start with the one issue, the issue to do with stalled and delayed projects. How extensive and how deep is that problem?
Well, I mean, I think good morning firstly to you, to your listeners. I think it's obviously something that not only frustrates South Africans, it frustrates me. When you see and read about public works projects that have stalled, run out of money, that are incomplete. And in every province, except one, you will find stalled and incomplete projects and also run by our national department. And we have come together to say that the situation cannot continue, that there are fixed interventions that have to be made. The MINMEC, which makes up Greasy and I chair myself, and have to now take direct responsibility for driving this turnaround strategy and making sure that what we set out to build, we build on time and on budget.
So which ones are the more notable delayed and stalled projects, and what are some of the reasons behind that?
Well, I mean, in KZN, we have some delayed projects with regards to the very famous Home Affairs building, in Kanga, in the Eastern Cape, where we have a project, the Memorial Centre, that's the first building there, with Sarah Bartman, that had been for a decade. Another one in KZN was the Oslanga the building that we were supposed to be doing in the memory of John Dubé, for about a decade. And so there are just so many projects that either that are people just failed and start. And it's quite disheartening that, not only to the public, but to ourselves as members of the executive, that they are just not moving in the right direction.
And the times you mentioned there, Minister, are quite, astonishing. Stalled for a decade. And I know that that's possibly a minimum. In some instances, you probably have projects that are stalled for even longer than that. So tell me about this intervention plan then. If I heard you correctly, you said it's a 6-point plan, is it?
Yeah, so what we've done, Thulasizwe, is we've sought to say, what are some of the root causes around this? And one of the big causes is around contractor accountability. So, we appoint contractors, first, that are not necessarily equipped to be able to do the job. or they fail on one side and then they pop up on another one. So what we've decided is that each province will have what we call a restriction committee. They will have to submit and compile contractors that are not performing as well as the individuals, so that we can then put that onto a central database so that we make doing business with the state an honor. It shouldn't be a given or shouldn't be a right. It should be a proud moment for your company to do business with the state, so that we actually drive excellence. The second thing that we have to do is cash flow problems. Often what happens is that provincial treasuries or provincial departments at least change the budgeting awards for projects mid-cycle. So sometimes we get to 70, 80%, and then the budget gets pulled because then there's another requirement. So they're not completed. So our view there is to work with the national and provincial treasuries to make sure that we ring-fence those budgets so they can't be touched with some other emergency or anything like that. We're also looking at digital tracking so that we're able to build dashboards and ensure that there's a commonality between the provinces and national governments so we can see where those projects are, how they're going, where are the blockages. And our argument there really is the more data you have, and the better decisions that you can take. And then there's a couple of others around procurement, around working on audit outcomes, to drive that recovery.
Lastly, Minister, neglected buildings. There were some initiatives you started putting in place a couple of months ago, repurposing some of these. Tell me about the advancements as far as that program is concerned and just how much it really costs. Because neglected buildings, in many instances, are incurring municipal costs and the like without actually being used by the government.
Well, it's not just municipal costs, it's also the social costs to the seas. Often these buildings contribute to crime. They become havens for drug addicts, for criminals and for gangsters. I was just talking about a short while ago. So we have a financial cost, and just on security, we pay 250 million rand a year, and that's just unsustainable. So firstly, we've taken back a number of our buildings and land, which is good. So we must be able to have control of that, and we've evicted people who have taken over those buildings to begin with. And secondly, we are now then purposing them out either to provincial departments and to the Department of Human Settlements. We are looking at two of them in a city housing program in the city of Johannesburg with them. Looking at doing some land releases in the Western Cape. Because our argument is that national government cannot and should not be holding on to all of these buildings and land when there are better purposes and uses for them.
All right, let's leave it there for this morning. Dean McPherson is Public Works and Infrastructure Minister.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Good morning. Let's start with cricket. Marizanne Cup etching her name into cricketing history, becoming the ICC Women's World Cup all-time leading wicket taker with her 44th scalp, her fiery spell of 5 for 20, dismantling England's top order. On the other end, the captain Laura Wolfart delivered one of the greatest innings ever seen on the stage, anchoring South Africa's charge with a masterful knock that powered the Proteas women to a 125-run victory. And that was in yesterday's semi-final. Cap credited both their batting and bowling performances.
So I feel like it's both with the bat and then with the ball, because Wolfie finished us off brilliantly there at the back end to get us to that total. And I just felt like if we had a good start, it would be a mountain of runs to chase. So I feel like for me personally, I was a bit more relaxed when I got the England captain out.
Soccer action. Maruma Gallants booking their place in the Carling Knockout Cup semi-finals with a 4-0 victory over Stellenbosch FC in torrential rain at the Dr. Petrus Molimela Stadium last night. Maruma Gallants head coach Alexandra Lafette.
Because we lose a lot of game with mistake technically. With the time, we increase, we improve this, and we see the first goal is very, very good. Notably, how do you build this? And after second half, we change strategy to defend. Notably, we can recover a little height. And after, we use the opportunity to score. I'm happy because after you have control of the game.
Action elsewhere. Liverpool suffered defeat again. They're out of the Carabao Cup. They lost 3-0 to Crystal Palace. Arsenal moving into the quarterfinals. 2-0 was their win over Brighton. And Omar Mamouche's powerful late strike ensuring Man City progressed as well to the quarterfinals. They came from behind to beat Swansea 3-1 in South Wales. And finally, golf. Tiger Woods turns 50 on the 30th of December, making him eligible to compete on the PGA Tour Championships in 2026. Whether he'll take that step remains uncertain. Woods hasn't revealed his intentions, and there hasn't been much with regards to a recent surgery which has cast doubt over his return to competitive golf for the 15-time major winner. That's your sport. We'll swing back. Top of the hour. I'm Zai Khan.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, 8 people have been killed in a collision between a minibus taxi and a truck on the N3 highway between Van Rienens Pass and Montrose. A 20-year-old suspect arrested in connection with the killing of 2 people in Westbury earlier this month will appear in the Johannesburg Magistrates Court tomorrow. And the DA has criticized the Gauteng Education Department for reducing its subsidies to quintile 5 schools for the 2026 academic year. The DA warns the 65% reduction in subsidies will cause additional financial pressure on parents and may lead to significant fee increases. I'll have details on these and other stories at 8.
This traffic report is brought to you by Auto and General Business Insurance. Auto and General, never not there. Auto and General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Top story is a major alert for motorists between Durban and Joburg. The N3 closed on the Free State side of Van Rienens Pass. The road is closed at a fatal crash scene between Montrose and Van Rienen Village. Nothing getting through, traffic being stacked and very heavy backlogs. If you're on your way towards that scene, off-ramp at Harry Smith or off-ramp at Bergville, and take the R74 Olivier Zoek Pass area. If you've got to go Joburg to Durban, I would seriously suggest you delay until that road has been reopened and the backlog has cleared. But a warning, it's a major site, major crash, and it probably will take some time to sort that out. Joburg Swanning N3 going north, heavy up into Buccleuch. The roadwork's still there. Malabongwe coming from Sharon Lee down through Ferndale into Randburg. Quite a heavy backlog of traffic there this morning as well. The N1 south from Pretoria's Montana down towards the Linwood Road exit very heavy. There was a crash, and now there's a broken down vehicle causing that delay. Durban, the M4 from Umhlanga heading in towards town, queuing up towards Virginia Airport. Quite heavy from Manzamtoti moving up Tweedy Hill, and there's some pressure on the N2 South now with the breakdown at Spaghetti Junction. Cape Town, the Marine Drive option, very heavy today. You got traffic queuing from Sunningdale, Tableview side through to Sunset Beach, and then another big backlog through Milnerton, Pardon Island down towards the M1. The problem there is a broken down vehicle on the N1 inbound, which is holding traffic coming through from Belleville, but badly backing up traffic trying to merge in off Marine Drive. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
That traffic report was brought to you by Auto and General Business Insurance. Auto and General, never not there. Auto and General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
At Auto and General, we understand your business is built on more than just vehicles. It's your stock, tools and equipment, and the premises where you work. Auto and General Business Insurance is designed for businesses like yours, protecting your assets against fire, theft, storms, and other unexpected events. To protect your livelihood, visit autogen.co.za and get an obligation-free business insurance quote. Auto and General, never not there. Auto and General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. The business update on SAFM.
Good morning to you once again in Daoling. Our president did a lot of dancing while he was out in Southeast Asia, in those 3 countries that he was visiting. He danced a lot, did our president. Do you think this has anything to do with his optimism about a U.S. trade deal being in the offing?
You know, when you're having a good time, sometimes you say things you didn't mean to say. So I don't know if it has anything to do with his optimism. For a trade deal with the United States are progressing, though no firm timeline has been set for an arrangement. South Africa has been months to resolve the tariff dispute that erupted earlier this year in August for the Trump administration imposing tariffs with 30% on our exports. Ramaphosa said discussions with Washington have now advanced to the stage of working based on tech, which he described as a clear sign of progress. He added that government remains focused on protecting local jobs and restoring market confidence. The president made these comments while in Switzerland, where he also discussed trade ties with Swiss President Karen Keller Sutter. His remarks come as global trade relations are under the spotlight, with Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping meeting today for that easing tariff pressures between the world's two largest economies.
41% of your income is quite significant to be gambling it all away. But that's exactly what this report tells us young South Africans are doing.
That's right. Plus, young South Africans spend an average 41% of their income on gambling, more than they spend on groceries. What is tackling a financial crisis with long-term consequences? A new report by Experian and financial platform Vault 22, based on real-time data from 25 million credit-active South Africans, paints a grim picture of the growing betting habit. Commenting on the report, Experience head of commercial strategy and innovation, Jacob van Jaarsveld, urged a national education drive to curb the trend, warning that millennials, who make up 50% of gamblers, risk damaging their credit scores and future financial stability. A News 24 article noted Pick and Pay CEO Sean Summers calling for a ban on online gambling ads. Van Jaarsveld, however, argues that legislation, not prohibition, is restricted.
Lastly, Dowling, how are we looking on the markets at this hour?
Starting in Asia, markets in the red, there's a level of uncertainty mid President Trump and his counterpart Xi Jinping. Investors on that end also digesting another hold from the Bank of Japan. While the BOJ is on pause, the Fed has continued to ease monetary policy, cutting rates again. Markets pricing that in, but Fed Chair Powell has warned of growth risks and that spooking investors. And so U.S. futures are in the red this morning. Back at home, a rebound in gold prices working in our benefit, boosting mining stocks and leading a 0.5% increase in the JSE All Share yesterday's session. And over in currencies, the rand remains stable, 17.80 to the greenback. Oil, in the meantime, slightly on the back foot at $64 a barrel. Market analysts that watch that market are also awaiting the outcome of the US-China trade talks, hoping for signs that tensions clouding the outlook for world economic growth ease.
All right, Dowling, thank you for that. We'll touch base with you one more time just after 8:30.
Hi, my name is Kutlwana Masote, your host of Weekend Sundowner Classics every Saturday and Sunday afternoon between the hours of 4 and 7 p.m. exclusively on SAFM. Now, this is where you get your best classical music jams on any radio platform. Join me every Saturday and Sunday afternoon between 4 and 7 p.m. Weekend Sundowner Classics.
Call Thulasizwe now, 086 000 2032.
So the conversation around what deputy ministers do and value for money, bang for buck, as it were, is really alive this morning. Let me take a few voice notes before I go to the calls.
Good morning, Tulas and your team. This is Excellent Owen from Gontrabialinga. You know, Tulas, I'm not interested in what the duties of the deputy police ministers are. What I'm interested in is why there's two of them rather than one. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those situations that have escalated. I remember years ago, it used to be very rare to have a department that had two deputy ministers. And in fact, they would justify that this one is responsible for this and that one is responsible for that. Remember, cooperative governance and traditional affairs. You had one that was responsible for traditional affairs to interact with the traditional leaders, etc., and just focus on them, and the other being more responsible on the cooperative governance, local government side of things. It used to be international relations, foreign affairs. But now you have quite a number that actually have two deputy ministers. You're absolutely right to ask the question, why two?
Milane, this is Peter, the truck driver. Thulasizwe, about this Minister Matal for not assigned any task. I blame Cyril Ramaphosa. When Cyril Ramaphosa appointed these two deputy ministers, he said, this is the ANC is serious about the crime that is happening in South Africa. So he's supposed to tell Mutulu why he's doing this and how and what he wants from all those two ministers to do.
Yeah. It's really not entirely, your argument is not entirely wrong, because there must have been a conversation between the minister and the president in which the president spells out, this is what I want from you as my minister of police. And for that, I've assigned you two deputies. I follow your logic completely. Let me take this one. Someone wants to talk about Action SA's role in this whole conversation.
Good morning to Thulasizwe. I just want to have a comment with regards to the abolishing of deputy ministers. In relation to the conversation, or rather the proposal by Ethel Tribler, one thing I can say is opposition parties just waste their time by proposing this, talking about this, we must do away with this and that, just wasting their time. There's enough money in the country to pay deputy ministers. What is he worried about? And Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa won't be shaken by whatever proposal he's trying to put out there. It won't make any sense to him.
Yeah.
They'll hear him, Brian.
Daniel, thank you for that. I don't know if there's enough money for, there's not enough money for anything, but I hear the point that you are making about it's really difficult. And I think that's the proposition I was putting to Ethel Trollip, that my sense, without doing any own research on it, is that it's harder for a private member's bill to really make it through the full gambit of, the legislative process and garner the kind of support that it needs. And worse off, this one being a constitutional amendment. It would really be interesting to see one that emanates from opposition benches, garnering the support of everyone inside, well, not everyone, as many people as possible, to make the threshold of a 2/3 majority. I think that really is, and he was realistic about it to say it really is difficult. But ultimately, opposition parties then put it to the voters to say, we've raised the issue sharply. You saw what the response was. Do you endorse that kind of thinking around how to use our resources? Parks in Cape Town, good morning.
Good morning to us.
I'm very well. Please go ahead.
Yes. Conversation with person like this way. The levels of time going to be then to face the to make on not made time as it now the program said Cape Town use the police and a sexual group called in special launching it was supposed to be a task actually looking to bring into the global thing the round out semester is actually focus
You mean the leap officers, yeah? The law enforcement ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Most of them you find that when so how like and there's area of in and you never see most of
Right.
as to those.
All right.
So I think the minister who says what was planned.
Yeah. All right. Parks, thank you for raising that. Parks, they're making the point that there's a lot that's within the control of the city of Cape Town and its mayor as far as deploying their own resources goes, while we still have this debate about devolution of policing powers. Andy in Cape Town on the same theme. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Simelane.
Good morning. Please go ahead.
Yes, this thing that the mayor is talking about is good mayor, but forgot about the crime that's happening in the meters plane, in a flood. They are busy deploying the law enforcement to tackle the healings. Because if you go to Seapoint, you go to CBD, you only see law enforcement busy with the healing. And they are not being deployed in Western Cape.
They're busy with what? Sorry, Andy, I missed that word.
They are busy impounding healings.
Oh, I
They are
see.
busy just impounding healings because they are making money out of it.
Yeah.
But the people are dying there in the place. You can't go to where they just rob the empty in Philippines.
But
In
he's, but,
Brown
he's,
Farm.
but he says they've
Nothing.
got
Where-
them. He says they've got them deployed there, even in these areas.
No,
Cape
man.
Flats and
No. He's a good guy driving.
Hmm.
He's lying.
All right.
He's a very good man.
All right.
But they need to focus on deploying those law enforcement. Reflect. Not doing everything, this killing, everything. They're making millions every day.
Gotcha. Andy, thank you
Yeah.
for that. That's Andy out
Thank
in
you.
Cape Town. Let me go to Bonkosi in Tshwane. Good morning to you, Bonkosi.
Morning, Thulasizwe. Yeah, so two things for me, Thulas,
Mhm.
and point the three issues.
Yes.
He has zero oversight over what they're doing. And he appoints them without roles and responsibility. Understand there may be delegated powers to the minister. They need to issue duties to this deputy minister.
Yeah.
He doesn't know whether the people he appointed down there they are doing something. That is really concerning for me. But secondly, we have a deputy minister, Castle Matal, who has been in that portfolio for a very long time. According to me, he's more experienced than Minister Nkulu. But he can't even advise. He can't even initiate some projects. He's waiting for the minister to delegate something to him. So he just wakes up in the morning to the office.
Yeah.
Just with such a big paycheck.
Mara
just wait.
Bonkosi, he says he doesn't just go and sit there. He says
No.
there are monthly programs and he follows the monthly programs and it involves interacting with IPID, the civilian secretariat, and the likes. He says it may look like we don't have duties, but actually I do.
No, but the way it sounded like it's like he's going there, he doesn't have anything to do.
Yeah.
I mean, throughout this time, according to me, he needs to have a program that he's focusing on, or including the programs that he has been focusing on even before.
Yeah.
Some he would have maybe advised that, you know what, and I think I need to do this. I mean,
Yeah.
you come to the office on a regular daily basis where you're focusing on those many things. You don't really have concrete something that you are doing.
Yeah, I'm with you. Bonkosi, thank you for that. I think I hear the point Bonkosi is making there. Give these people something concrete to champion that has specific achievables that you can come back to and say, how far did you go with this specific project that you've been running with? Vusi in Midrand, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Tulas. Good morning. How are you?
Very well. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. The issue here with magistrates who wants to also be seen acting like that. Look, magistrates are earning handsomely well. The problem with them is the greed and the perpetuating corruption which we are talking about every day here. Level of corruption in this country. Part of it is this kind of people. This element who are corrupt. For them, they are always greed. For them, it's about them. Nothing else. Do you see the level of corruption which we are discussing in this country? Part of these people now, you can see, which after the police, with the done its job, you are going to meet this group, which are highly corrupt. But the media will never talk about it. No, to you guys, it's a whole lot now. Look now the gap between them and the kitchen. In other countries, we don't have this nonsense of magistrate. So no, judiciary is judiciary.
But wait, Vusi. Actually, the point you just made now, in other countries, you don't have this thing of magistrates' courts, high courts, judiciary, is exactly the point that the magistrates are raising to say we are doing exactly the same work as the judges of the High Court, Supreme Court of Appeal, and even Constitutional Court, in that we are, in fact, in particular, the High Court judges, to say we're doing exactly the same work. The reason why the High Courts, as busy as they are, they could be even busier, is because we take a lot of that work, but there's a disparity that these judges in the High Court earn far much more for doing the same work that we do. That's the point that they are making.
No, you're correct. You're correct. I agree with you there. But now let's go back and check with the DPSA to say, workload. Why do you want to put this other person is holier than thou? With taken completely to this crew. At the same time, I blame them because that's this to go on and you must see them when they are together.
Yeah.
Doing their job. You even talk to see what's happening here. Because this guy and this guy is almost the same.
Yeah.
The other one is more holier than the other one.
Yeah.
That's why you see this level of corruption. We are saying the judiciary is corrupt. As long as they don't deal with this issue of
Also,
this
Vusi,
element, you will find that
lastly, Vusi, on the allegations of corruption in the judiciary, you know the procedures, most right? Under oath, and just approach the Judicial Service Commission and report all of those. Unless you do that, we can't root out the corruption that you are talking about. That's Vusi there.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Just an update on the N3 in the Free State section. A horrific crash this morning involving a taxi, multiple loss of life, unfortunately. The road is closed at the scene between Van Rieneland Village and Swinburne Montrose. Now, nothing getting through on that section, and very lengthy and long delays. So the alternative route that comes into play, of course, is if you're Durban bound off at Harry Smith, down through Olivier Hook Pass. And if you're going up to Joburg side around Escort, or maybe a little bit beyond that, just look for the Bergville exit and take the 74 up through Olivier Hook Pass and back on via the N5 and Harry Smith. That's going to be your rework and reroute Olivier Hook Pass. Otherwise, just sort of delay your travel between Durban and Joburg to avoid getting into that situation. It's a horrific crash and will take some time through the morning and possibly up to sort of early parts of the afternoon to sort that scene out. Joburg this morning, Mike 1's heavy from Parktown up towards Sandton. A crash in the bottom of the N1 at Midrand's Beclue. So coming through from Allendale, that stays really busy. And the N1 south through Pretoria looking quite slow. It's basically traffic from Montana down through the N4 onto Linwood Road, past an obstruction there, and then a crash down by Rigel. So a lot of traffic on that run this morning. Durban side, the N2 north coming in from Amman Zamtoti, which was pretty heavy earlier, a little bit sluggish up and down at Tweeny Hill. The N2 north from the M7 through Umgena Road's very slow. The N2 south has a breakdown at Spaghetti Junction, so from Inanda Road jam-packed. And of course, no traffic lights at Duff's Road or the N2 highway along Kumashu Highway, so that stays busy. And major delays if you're going into Cape Town this morning with a crash and a breakdown. Two obstructions on the N1 inbound at Marine Drive. Now that's a double whack. It's pushing traffic right the way back to Plattekloof Hill on the N1. That's looking particularly heavy. The other problem is any route that feeds in like Marine Drive and especially the Kuberg Road. Those routes to get in or through the N1 are heavily backed up as well. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The Expresso Morning Show has been nominated in 5 categories in the 3rd Annual National Film and Television Awards South Africa.
It all happens on Saturday, the 22nd of November, 2025, at the South African State Theatre in Pretoria. And public voting is open from the 13th of October to the 20th of November at midday.
So visit nationalfilmacademy.com, register, and vote for Expresso Morning Show in all 5 categories.
Then, of course, catch us weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. right here on S3.
There's a song that goes, "Money can't buy me love." And that's true. But then they told us all you need is love, which anybody with a mortgage will tell you most certainly is not true. Love won't pay your parking tickets or your student loan. It's also needy. It requires effort, availability, constant care. But more importantly, love requires time. And while money can't buy you love, it can certainly free up some of your time. Time to spend on the things you love, with the people you love. And if you're looking, maybe even time to find the one you love. That's why, after 50 years of investing, we've learned that time is the greatest gift of all. And the good news is, if you invest early, time gives you money. And then money gives you more time to do the things you love. And don't you love that about investing? Ellen Gray, long-term investing. Ellen Gray is an authorized FSP.
Big stories of the day. Hashtag the morning brief.
5 minutes to 8. In a country where sexual predators lurk almost everywhere, including in noble professions like teaching, you'd think the vetting of potential and current teachers against the National Register of Sex Offenders would by now be par for the course, stock standard routine stuff. You'd be wrong. Until recently, only just shy of 80,000 of the more than 400,000 teachers had been vetted. That's why a new initiative by the Department of Basic Education is garnering a significant amount of attention that involves not just monitoring, but actually funding the vetting of potential teachers, especially student teachers. Let's talk about it. I'm joined by Lukhanyo Vanga, who is the who's the spokesperson, media liaison officer in the Department of Basic Education. Lukhanyo, good morning and thank you for your time. Tell me about this program. How does it build on the work that you've been doing all along of monitoring compliance by the provinces to this requirement of vetting? Lukhanyo? All right, we seem to have lost Lukhanyo Vanga there, who will be talking to us about this project. Until now, well, at least that's my understanding, until now, the focus has been for the National Department of Basic Education seems to have been on monitoring whether or not provinces are complying with this requirement of vetting. And now we're told that actually some 9,000 student teachers in particular, especially those part of the Funza Lushaka program, will actually be vetted, and the Department of Basic Education will ensure that it pays for the costs of doing that, because the numbers just, they are actually shocking in terms of the number of complaints raised about sexual impropriety as far as teachers are concerned, as well as the allegations that have been investigated by the South African Council of Educators. So we're having some difficulties with Lukhanyo. Let's see what we can do to rearrange the decks and perhaps talk to Lukhanyo at some point in the future.
Call Thulasizwe now. 086 000 2032.
All right, let me take. Someone is calling us on the WhatsApp line. Let me just read a message from Tulani Dasa out in Cape Town. Tulani Dasa responding to some of what has been said about the LEAP officers, the law enforcement officers in Cape Town. And Tulani says, and I quote here, "We must speak against lies being spread on national radio about the LEAP officers. The truth is simple. The city of Cape Town has deployed 5 LEAP officers in every ward across the metro, ensuring that no community is left behind. As a resident of Ward 95 in Khayelitsha, I personally witness the presence and dedication of our law enforcement officers daily. While crime prevention remains the constitutional mandate of SAPS, the City of Cape Town, under the Democratic Alliance, is not standing idly by. We are taking proactive steps, investing in law enforcement, community safety, and partnerships to protect residents in every area, not just select neighborhoods. The DA-led city is showing what real commitment to safety looks like," end quote. And that is from Tulani Dasa out in Cape Town. Let me play you a few voice notes. Someone wants to go back to the conversation we started yesterday about the bail system in the country. And we did make the commitment that we will go back to that conversation and actually give it more time next week on Friday.
Good morning, Tulas and the team. Good show as always. On the subject of bail, Tulas, I've learned that there are 3 types of bail. One is issued by the police at the police level, and the one is issued by the prosecutor, and the one is issued by the magistrate. Obviously, depending on the severity of the crime, Tulas. Thank you, PK.
PK, when you are ready for the admission exams. You just nailed it right there. Nailed it 100%. The three different types of bail that can be secured: prosecutor bail, but also police bail under the right circumstances, and of course, the bail that is then granted on application in the court. So you are spot on. If you are taking the exams in in March, yeah, you're ready. 8 a.m. Let's go straight to N Musa.
Outsurance is in the business of saving you money on your car insurance premium. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754.
In our top stories, police probe deadly N3 highway road crash and UN chief voices concern as Hurricane Melissa devastates the Caribbean. Good morning. Police are yet to establish the cause of a crash in which 8 people were killed on the N3 highway between Van Rienener's Pass and Montrose in the Free State. 6 other people were injured and taken to hospital following the crash, which happened when a minibus taxi and a truck collided this morning. The affected part of the road has been closed. The Road Traffic Inspectorate has advised motorists to use alternative routes. Its spokesperson, Cindy Msimang.
The minibus had 14 occupants, excluding the driver. In all, 15 people in the minibus. Currently, the truck was at a steep hill. It lost its power, rode backward, colliding with the minibus that was approaching. Through impact, the minibus lost control, capsized, and landed on the shoulder of the opposite bound. That's what happened, according to the driver of the truck.
A 20-year-old suspect arrested in connection with the killing of 2 people in Westbury earlier this month will appear in the Johannesburg Magistrates Court tomorrow. Police say they arrested the suspect at a high school in Diepkloof yesterday afternoon, following a tip-off. A total of 7 teenagers were shot in the incident. 5 of them were wounded. Gauteng Police spokesperson Brenda Murutili.
Investigations are ongoing to track down the remaining suspects. 2 of the 5 injured victims have since been discharged from hospital. The SAPS urges the public to assist in the investigation by providing any relevant information to the Crime Stop number 08600 10111, where callers can remain anonymous.
The trial of a 21-year-old man accused of kidnapping, killing and robbing 34-year-old Johannesburg teacher Kirsten Clate is expected to resume today in the Palm Ridge Magistrates Court in Gauteng. The trial of Bafana Maungela was postponed in recent weeks but is now set to continue, with the state calling more witnesses. Clate's body was found after she had participated in a race in Sandton. She was 14 weeks pregnant when she was killed in 2023. Maungela has pleaded not guilty to all charges. The DA has criticized the Gauteng Education Department for reducing its subsidies to quintile 5 schools for the 2026 academic year. Although the party admits the move is within the department's right, it says the schools were only notified after the legislated deadline of the 30th of September. The DA warns the 65% reduction in subsidies will cause additional financial pressure on parents and may lead to significant fee increases. DA Gauteng Shadow MEC for Education, Sergio Issa dos Santos.
The information that we have received is that the government informed the schools between the 7th and the 10th of October. So from here, the schools had already started with the budget process of the new academic year. Obviously, also assuming that we have the same funding as previous year. Now, to inform the schools of the deadline, the fact that when we look at in the subsidy, we're looking at from 879 range to 301 range per learner.
And finally, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has expressed grave concern over the widespread devastation Hurricane Melissa has caused in the Caribbean. It caused damage and flooding across Jamaica and parts of Haiti, the Dominican Republic and the Bahamas. Guterres has also expressed solidarity with the governments and people of the affected countries. Showan Bryce Peace reports.
UN and humanitarian teams are still assessing the damage in Jamaica and other nations affected, but affirm that there had been tremendous and unprecedented devastation of infrastructure, of property, energy, and network connectivity. Guterres said the UN was working hand in hand with authorities and humanitarian partners to assess needs and assist those impacted. UN Resident Coordinator Dennis Zulu also warned of massive dislocation across Jamaica and that the country had been devastated to levels never seen before. He expressed concern that some areas had been cut off and may remain unreachable in the short term, while the electric grid was down in parts of the country.
Recapping the top story, police are yet to establish the cause of a crash in which 8 people were killed on the N3 highway between Van Rieners's Pass and Montrose in the Free State. For SFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. You could spend 10 minutes waiting for the microwave to beep. Or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. For his 2024 Suzuki Jimny, 55-year-old Stefan now pays only 611 Rand a month. And for her 2024 Kia Sonet, 31-year-old Palisa pays just 926 Rand a month. Ready to get more out of your car insurance? SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
It's a very good morning to you in your SFM Sports Headlines. We are still celebrating the history that was made in Guwahati as the Proteas women buried their semi-final ghost. They're into the final of the ICC Women's World Cup. And in rugby, the Springboks are gearing up for a challenging November tour, starting with a test against Japan this Saturday in London. We'll bring you details just before 8:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Our top story is for motorists travelling between Joburg and Durban. The N3 remains closed in the Free State section between Van Rieners's Village and Swinburne. A horrific crash this morning, closing that road down both directions. And it's likely that it will stay closed for some time, given the nature of this scene. So really big backlogs of traffic into that collision zone. The alternative route would be the R74, Oliviers Hoek Pass, off at Harrismith to Durban, off at Bergville on your way to Joburg, and just take that 74. It's a lot better run through than it used to be. Just staying down in the south, Pietermaritzburg to Durban, under some pressure this morning. Looks like a scene between Ashburton and Market Road. Now, there are broken down vehicles after Market Road to Durban and after Ashburton going into Pietermaritzburg, so it's absolutely jam-packed both ways there. Pretoria's N1 south from Montana, traffic all the way down to sort of Linwood Road territory today. The N1's got a crash at Buccleuch, so coming through Allendale Road, it's heavy. Mike 1 from Houghton all the way up into Santon's Grayston Drive. Very big backlogs there as well today. And Cape Town, the N1 under pressure due to a crash and a breakdown at Marine Drive. The N1 backed and stacked all the way through to Plattekloof, coming into that Marine Drive and the Kuiberg Road. Both of those options towards the N1 highway are heavy due to the N1 hold-ups. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
8 minutes after 8 on this Thursday. Welcome to it, the third hour of the morning brief on SAFM 104 to 107. Let me reflect a few of the messages that you've been sending me. Champ in Polokwane says, wow, incompetence has no color. The mayor has not been to the areas in question to workshop solutions. Clearly because he is still guessing what's to be done and provided no solutions apart from vilifying government for not providing legal power. If this is Cape Town excellence, says Champ, then South Africans are far from being led. At this rate, politicians claiming to be better is, in the words of Jay-Z, competing to be the tallest midget, says Champ in Polokwane. Well, to be fair to the mayor, he did list the areas that he has been to in the last while. But I get the point that Champ is making. Champ is not impressed with the mayor, Jordan Hill-Lewis. And then someone else, also along the same vein of political, I don't know, confusion, says there is absolutely nothing logical about South African politics. All talk, little action, all rhetoric, all hungry and wanting to chow the money. The citizens are not the center of their politics. Thank you for making that point. If only there was something that the citizens could do about that, right? Because citizens actually can entrench themselves in the center of politics in this country, and there's a big argument about that they should be at the center of it all. Let me go to this one. A says, I watched the briefing by Captain Kruger at the Madlanga Commission yesterday. I can tell you the guy's, whether wrong or right, he was scared of victimization. His way of answering, you can tell that they have no voice. For instance, the judge asks him if he asked for reference number after going to the raid. His answer, no, I blame myself for not asking. I should have raised the reference instead of the person that asked for the work to be done. This was said to watch, that made me wonder. This was said to watch. Okay, let me read it properly. This person A then says, this was said to watch. That made me wonder if mental health and wellness is something observed and spoken about in those spaces. Yeah, I mean, I watched a bit of that yesterday, some of that testimony. Members of the DPCI, Directorate Priority Crime Investigation, known to you and I as the Hawks, accounting for their intervention on the day when the political killings task team, and others, the Gauteng, what do you call it? Counterintelligence operation, were pouncing on KT, Katiso Molefi's house, and then the Hawks showed up after the then Hawks head, uh, Godfrey Lebeya, had received a call of someone complaining about the presence of these police officers. I watched a bit of that. It was quite interesting. There were a few difficult moments. One of the officials there initially denying that he was part of a WhatsApp group chat until they showed him and said, but these are your chats. This is you, right? This is you contributing to this chat among Hawks officers. It was quite interesting. It all looks like little aspects, and you wonder how does it fit into the bigger picture. But it's always important to remember what the allegation or suspicion is. The suspicion was that the Hawks members had tried to interfere with a legitimate operation by the political killings task team. So sometimes it feels like we're going down rabbit holes. But if you think about it, take a moment, pause, and step back and remember what the initial allegation was, and then you will see how it all fits into the picture we are trying to paint. 086 000 2032, your WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107. Let's get into it then. The third hour of the morning brief on this Thursday.
These are the weekend shows on SAFM. Music of Africa with Shayla Ndikumana. The Weekend View with Bongiwe Swane. The Jet Set Breakfast with Michelle Constant. Seasons with Homozo KG Mwekezi. The Soundtrack of Your Life with Ernest Pillay. Weekend Sundowner Classics with Kutlwano Masote. Spotlight with Zai Khan. The Weekend with John Herika. Shifting Your Lens with Bertha Charuba. This is SAFM. You are listening to the Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane.
All right, let's return to that conversation with Lucanio Vanga, who speaks on behalf of the Department of Basic Education, talking about the vetting against the National Register of Sex Offenders of new and currently serving teachers. And I shared with you the statistic earlier on that until recently, only just shy of 80,000 of the more than 400,000 teachers had actually been vetted against that register. Lucanio Vanga joins me now. Good morning to you, Lucanio. Tell me a bit more about this new initiative. I don't know if it's new at all, but perhaps you ramping up the vetting of teachers against the register of sex offenders. How does it fit in with the work that you've been doing all along?
Thank you very much, Tula, for inviting me, and good morning The minister's top five priorities, one of those is safety, to ensure that children in schools that are safe and conducive to learning. And that starts with ensuring that the people that we allow into our premises are properly vetted, so that we can ensure that children remain safe. So the minister has been rolling out the vetting of all teachers on 5,000 against the National Sex Offenders Register NSRO, as well as the Child Protection Register. This is so that we don't allow registered and convicted sex offenders to go and teach in our schools or to work within us. And this is, I think, you would have recall the outrage that happened in Eastern Cape, where teachers were accused of sexual abuse against learners in our schools. So this is quite important in the quite an expensive price. It costs about 100 rand per person at um, special national special offenders register. So we're starting now with the 9,000 um, students that are on the Thulasizwe bridge. So these are student teachers that also affect to our schools, and we have the provinces that are rolling out the teachers as well. We must ensure that we save children and we don't protect them
But
to take by
but
not getting
but
that word.
but are they though, Lucanio? Are they the provinces? Are they implementing the vetting of currently serving teachers? And to make the distinction between your focus in the initial phase right now on the students, especially those on the Funza Lushaka bursary scheme, versus teachers already in the system. If the figures, as at the last count at the end of March this year, were 78,509 teachers having been vetted against a figure of 405,738 teachers back then, that is just minuscule in terms of the work that is supposed to be happening, and you are supposed to be monitoring that.
Yes, and from about two Council of Education so about 2 quarters ago, the thing of as a standing item on the Council of Education Minister's agenda to ensure that each province must now report and account for how far they've moved. There are some challenges that will to us that are realistic challenges. For example, cases facing serious financial constraints, and they employ just about over a quarter of all the people we have in the country. So they're spending at about 120,000, have not pay 100 each, and that's up to about 12 million that they must find within their budget for them to pay for this work. They currently struggling to even get access to our customers. So there are those challenges, but there are also capacity constraints. Working of 405,000 people is massive logistical undertaking. It covers the Department of Education and the 9 provincial education departments. It covers the police department. It covers the Department of Health. It's a massive logistical undertaking, but we need to get it right. That's why the ministry is now to the Minister of Justice to ensure that we move to the speaker and we issue projectized testing. And if we do it as a project-based as a project-based alternative, then it can be us to a budget.
That fiscal concern and logistical concern aside, which provinces are lagging behind to the point of concerning you in as far as that vetting is concerned?
KwaZulu-Natal. KwaZulu-Natal is a serious concern as a province in terms of vetting. Gauteng is moving with good pace, but we're concerned about not only the fact that they're lagging behind, but that the recovery plan in there is not that they can be able to set up where we need them to be by the end of the year. So that is quite a concern. But that's why, as I'm saying, Minister isn't the Minister of Justice to look at ways in which possible we can exempt a province like that that simply doesn't have to do the vetting from the parties that attended.
So just to complete the picture then, in as far as the entirety of the ecosystem that's meant to ensure the safety of pupils, What conversations are you having with the South African Council of Educators? Because when they did their reporting to Parliament, they were talking about 606 complaints in the 2024-2025 financial year, only finalizing 134 hearings, sanctioning 109 teachers, with 36 permanently struck off. And among that number, while it's not all to do with sexual predatory behavior or sexual abuse of children, a significant number has to do with that. It doesn't feel, Lucanio, it doesn't feel like this is being treated like the crisis that it is.
That's unfortunate, Thulasizwe, it doesn't feel like that because this is well, particularly the minister, we've had conversations with the people of Africa regards to those findings about the number of cases that they're able to finalize. We had meetings with faith, with the minister, and what they told us is it was not initially meant to handle investigation. It is the registration body and the capacity for them to undertake investigations, not yet the capacity that needs to be built up. And that's why we've asked that they work with other organizations now who have the capacity to undertake large scale investigations. And places like the public protector that has the experience, we've asked them to engage investigations now, able to undertake these investigations. Now, when a complaint comes like and what means they need to do 2 investigations per day in a year, and it's a huge volume of work. Whole body, but it's a body that was never initially meant to undertake investigation. We are building that capacity for safe.
Timelines, Lucanio, what are we looking at before we reach a critical milestone that says actually the majority of the teachers in the system have been vetted? Now that you've made it a standing item in the ministers' meetings, Council of Education meetings, and you've projectized it, to use your word, what are we looking at in terms of timelines?
Philippines were realistically as in yesterday. We needed to have done this yesterday. We are too far behind, and we need to also take action when we've identified that people are on the suspected visa. And one of the things that we're doing now is that immediately get suspended. Their contract are terminated with an operation. So we don't have to undertake any new disciplinary process. When it shows up in a section or further visa, we're immediately terminated by the department. So those are some of the measures that we're putting in place. But we will not be able to live with ourselves if it's found violated by someone who has known.
All right, let's leave it there for this morning. Thank you for your time. Lucanio Vanga, Department of Basic Education Media Liaison Officer.
With the ever-changing financial landscape, it can be difficult to make sense of all the moves at times. Join me, Jimmy Moyaha, on the SAFM Market Update with MoneyWeb, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 to 7 p.m, as we break down the key market trends, top financial stories, and smart investment insights, all in one place. It's everything you need to stay financially informed and ahead of the curve.
Big stories of the day. Hashtag the morning brief.
All right, let me take a quick call from Arthur in KZN, who wants to reflect on the ad hoc committee, the parliamentary one. Good morning to you, Arthur.
Morning, Professor and the listeners. One thing I just want to say,
yes,
which benefit for is already exposed our security staff.
The Minister Sendom Tunu, yeah?
Yes,
Yes.
Minister Sendom Tunu, in his narrative, which makes so from the president, they say to take immediate action. Number one, the minister told the court that the parliament is just went to prison to take in Africa for his narrative, which is a fraud case that it doesn't make the minister anymore. Secondly, the minister, there are 2 ways immediately unnecessary, immediately was taken apart, it was taken into account. But one, that's one. I don't know if the list, remember, he mentioned 2 or 3 permanent deaths. When a minister of police goes such permanent, knowing He was in the country. What was this? Remember the story? Someone not went to talk about that he was on the
Permanent
so
death.
yes, permanent death. He used those words two times or two times.
But why do these words matter, though, Arthur? In
It
terms
matters.
between the substance, I hear the one about immediately what it means and how he sought to reframe our understanding of immediately. But the other ones that you mentioned, why do they matter?
The permanent death, it matters because in a, there is this narrative that that who is just temporarily fighting wish.
Okay. So
So
you believe because of all of that, he should not return.
if the minister
Hmm.
is in the security class and already has already told the class, look at what happened in the Mandela Commission. Why is that? It requires for him because the matter is he has an affidavit of someone who's in prison.
Yeah.
He's a minister.
Yeah.
Already, we don't need him. We don't need Mr. Minister.
Gotcha. Arthur, thank you for that. That's Arthur in KZN. Of course, the issue of obtaining an affidavit from someone who's in prison was raised sharply by the EFF's leader, Julius Malema, in those hearings. And I remember the confusion about whether or not the minister had mandated his lawyers to do that or not. I remember that confusion very well. Sasi in Cape Town, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Thulasizwe. How are you?
Very well. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on the commission, committee
Sure.
in Parliament. And I just want to say, Thulasizwe, what is actually happening right now, we understand that it's only a commission for the sex environment, in police environment, security. But I can give you, each and every should require the commission. There's a lot of things that I mean, in name a couple, social development, name a number of them. Saying,
Yeah.
you know, this commission
Ish. Sasi, your
presentation.
your line is breaking apart a little bit. Please complete that point.
Yeah, so
No. Yeah, Slas's line is letting us down there. Yeah, and it completely broke and actually, yeah, cut off altogether. But I think we got the point that Slas was making. My only response to him was going to be, we already had a commission that that was meant to look at every department, every possible department. It was known as State Capture Commission of Inquiry.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Yes.
Yes.
What do you want from me?
Oh, I'm just asking if you are blooming or you are blossoming.
You really want to go there? I wouldn't go there if I were you.
There's
Tell me
no
about
coming back, Tulas.
Tell me about the Proteas women rewriting history, yeah?
Yeah, Tulas. And it's all about, staying calm under pressure. And England brought the pressure, but the Proteas showed them. What a win for us. We had our captain, Laura Wolfart. She hit 169 to lead the way. Marizan Cup tore through England with 5 wickets. The performance not only put South Africa into their first Cricket World Cup final, but also showcased the bond in the squad. Cap says credit also goes to coach Mandla Mashimbi.
Yeah, look, firstly, I have to give a lot of credit to Mandla. I feel like since he's come on board, has a different outlook on the game. And then, yes, look, nothing is more important than family. But yeah, having these girls around, having team management around, and then family, like ultimately, especially if it doesn't go your way, they're always there, no matter what the outcome.
On to soccer action, both Carling knockout semi-finals are set for KwaZulu-Natal, with Lamontville Golden Arrows drawn at home to Marumo Gallants, while Richards Bay will host Orlando Pirates. The draw follows Gallants' 4-0 win over Stellenbosch in Bloemfontein, sealing the final spot in the last four. Now, semi-final fixtures are scheduled for the weekend of November 8th and 9th, with exact dates and venues to be confirmed by the Premier Soccer League in the coming days. The Magesi FC head coach John Maduka has hailed the performance of their number one goalkeeper, Elvis Chipezeze, who for the second time in the Culling knockout this season walked away with the 100,000 Rand Man of the Match prize.
It means a lot. It means a lot. He's a captain of the team. He lead by example. So happy, so proud of him. If you look at the game itself, he kept us in the game, especially in the first half. Second half, not much, to be done because we had to sort out some areas where we thought that, we felt short. But good to have, Chipezeze, in the team as a captain. He has shown that he is a leader, and so proud, to have him in the team.
And finally, Springbok coach Rassie Erasmus is done with mixing and matching. He's locked in his core combinations for Saturday's test against Japan at Wembley. Cheslin Colby will start at fullback in place of the injured Damien Willemse, while 21-year-old Zachary Porton makes his debut at tight head prop. Now, the architect of Japan's exploits is Eddie Jones, a much respected peer of Bok coach Erasmus, and one for whom there's a bottle of South Africa's finest wine waiting after the match.
I always have a lot of respect for him, and I think people always try to build up a thing between coaches, but he's one of the coaches I really respect. And yeah, we have a bottle of wine. We only give back when we're winning. So he wants it, he must let us win it.
That's your sport. So we'll be back. Not as much whining, but full of your sport with John Hediger around 12:30. I'm Zai Khan.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musan. The headlines. The city of Ekurhuleni Council is today expected to decide on the Metro Police Deputy Chief Julius Mkwanazi's future. The council must decide on whether to place Mkwanazi on precautionary suspension or not. Police are yet to establish the cause of a crash in which 8 people were killed on the N3 highway between Van Rieneens Pass and Montrose in the Free State. 6 other people were injured and taken to hospital following the crash which happened this morning. And the governor of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil has defended an anti-gang operation in which more than 130 people were killed. Human rights groups have condemned the raid, describing it as a massacre. I'll have details on these and other stories at 9.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. No change at all on that Free State crash scene. The N3 remains closed and probably will be for some time, given the nature of this crash. So the closure is effectively between Swinburne and the top of Van Rieneens Pass. So Van Rienen Village up to Swinburne, that's where it's closed. Nothing getting through. And as you can imagine, a major backlog of traffic in that area, driving into a sort of operation stacking scene, if you like. The alternative route locally will be Oliveershoek Pass off at Harry Smith onto the N5 and look for the R74 Bergville. You do that in reverse if you're coming up from Moy River Escort area. Instead of going over Van Rieneens Pass and running into that trouble off ramp at Bergville, go out up the Oliveershoek Pass and come back on at Harry Smith. That's your sort of obvious local detour. There are other options available as you take off and head out through Ladysmith as well that you may know about. But if you get beyond Harry Smith or beyond Van Rieneens Pass, you're really in some big trouble there. We'll keep you up to date with that, but we are expecting a lengthy closure. Going into Pietermaritzburg this morning from Durban, there's big traffic from Ashburton. It's a breakdown. Been there a while just by Market Road. That's causing that delay. Joburg's N3 North jam packed up into Buccleuch, the Mike 1 this morning from Parktown through to Sandton, looking fairly heavy. R21 queuing away from the airport towards Pretoria. That's big backlogs into the roadworks at Clayville. And a crash just on the N4. This is the Pretoria Bronkhorst Road, just after Solomon Mhlanga, just east of Solomon Mhlanga Drive. So it's quite heavy there as well. And then Cape Town, a major delay on the N1 and associated feeder routes. It's a crash at Marine Drive. There's also a breakdown in that area as well. So the M1 inbound from Platypus bad. N7 coming south into it. Marine Drive from Pardon Island bad to get in. And Coburg Road, Rugby, Brooklyn area down towards that M1 congestion heavy as well. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
The business update on SAFM.
Let's say good morning once again to Ndauling. Ndauling, let's talk mining. So the majority stake in De Beers, is it up for grabs, and is Angola eyeing it?
That's right, Tula. So it is up for grabs as Anglo looks to divest from diamond mining. And Anglo has submitted a proposal to buy Anglo's 85% stake in De Beers, intensifying competition with Botswana and other potential buyers for control of the diamond giant. Now, Angola's state-owned diamond producer, Indiama, confirmed the bid but declined to share details, citing confidentiality. Anglo-American, which began divesting its stake over a year ago, has De Beers at about $2.9 billion after heavy impairments. Now, Botswana, already a 15% shareholder, has declared its intention to secure majority ownership. President of Botswana, Tumaboko, in the move matter of economic sovereignty as diamond revenues make up the bulk of Botswana's export and government income. Industry experts say Angola's growing output and recent reforms make it an increasingly influential player. The bid underscores the continent's broader ambition to shape the future of a global industry facing headwinds from grown diamonds and softer demand in major markets like China.
And this Barloworld buyout was under the spotlight for some time, but now it's being reviewed by Moody's. Will that improve the mood of investors by the time they are done, or will it worsen the mood?
I see what you did there. I see what you did. I'm not sure if it's going to improve the mood of investors because it's a bit of bad news, right? Barloworld's transformation from century-old listed firm into a privately owned company led by its CEO is testing the balance between empowerment and financial risk. Moody's has placed most of the group's credit ratings on review for downgrade, warning that 20 billion rand buyout by CEO Dominic Thulasizwe Simelane vehicle Intra and South African Holdings could strain the company's finances and weaken governance. The ratings agency said the transaction is likely to be funded with debt, which could be transferred onto Barloworld or used to finance higher dividends once the deal is completed. Such moves, Moody's caution, could erode the group's balance sheet strength. Supporters see a different story, a landmark empowerment moment. PIC, which initially opposed the deal, reversed its stance after the consortium pledged a 13.5% board-based CEE structure. Caterpillar, Barloworld's main partner and source of 23% of its revenue over the past financial year, has also backed the transaction. Moody says it will complete its review once the company's post-takeover capital structure and financial policies are clarified.
Lastly, Ndawling, wrap it all nicely for us and just give us a sense of the trading day we can expect today.
The local markets likely to open mixed as international markets are in the red, but gold holds under the $4,000 mark. Meanwhile, the rand is stable at 17.19 to the greenback. Oil steady, trading at $64 a barrel. And then traders taking a wait and see approach as they keep a close eye on talks between Presidents Trump and Xi. Trade talks aside, monetary policy also influencing market action. And the U.S. futures are in negative territory while traders fear a rate cut. Chair Jerome Powell has warned, rather raised concerns over growth. In Asia, stocks also downbeat, with investors there digesting the Bank of Japan's decision to hit pause on rates.
All right, thank you for that, Ndawling. We'll talk tomorrow. That's Ndawling Lichela. She's kept you updated on business, economics, and the markets across the 3 hours of the show.
This season, make Christmas magic together with Spar and Super Savings. Like 2 kg Sunlight regular hand wash powder for $54.99 plus 150 megs free data on Spar Mobile, or 175 gram Dettol hygiene soap. Any two for 26 Rand plus 50 megs free data on Spar Mobile. Price is valid 21 October to 9 November 2025 while stocks last. T's and C's apply.
This is Lungi on any other regular day.
This economy makes me post once a day. Who does that? Like, ew.
Now this is Lungi getting extra with the 20 gig summer deal for just 99 Rand.
I have so many gigs. I could even have a gig, guys. I'm going live every single day to me because get
Extra your summer. Get 20 gigs plus 2 months free YouTube Premium and 100 Vodabucks. Exclusively on the Vodapay app. T's and C's apply. Further together. Vodacom.
Tani Esther, or should I say the Tupperware Tani? How's business going?
Business is booming. I've been operating out of the boot of my car for 10 years, but shame, it couldn't keep up with my growing empire.
Okay, so you sold it to We Buy Cars.
Yes, quick. Sold my old one, bought a bigger one. I even sold some of my Tupperware to the friendly guy who picked up my car.
Stick to what you know best, eh, Tony?
Excuse me?
Never mind. We Buy Cars. Geared for your business, geared for you.
Thulasizwe Simelane on SAFM.
An enlightening a piece of writing appearing in the Sowetan just a couple of days ago under the hand of Patrick Ngasa Pioti, the chairperson of the Diabetes Alliance South Africa. In it, talking about what is known as the innovation divide in this country, in as far as people who have diabetes are concerned. Let me just read you a bit of an excerpt and then we'll talk to him in a moment. He says, in South Africa, two people can live with the same chronic condition yet face vastly different realities. One may rely on a continuous glucose monitor that sends real-time readings to a smartphone, helping them keep their blood sugar in range. The other may test sporadically with strips if they are available, relying on symptoms to guide care. So let's speak to Patrick Ngasa Pioti, chairperson of the Diabetes Alliance of South Africa. Good morning and thank you for your time. Take that point a bit further. You're calling it the innovation divide. Why does it manifest?
Good morning to Lasizwe and to your listeners. Indeed, we need to start by saying that diabetes is now the biggest health concern in South Africa, ranking among the leading cause of death. And we have a high number of people living with this condition. To manage diabetes, you need to do a number of things, including having appropriate treatment, receiving education, as well as monitoring the condition. Over the years, there's been so many innovations that have occurred in this space in terms of new drugs, in terms of new tools. We mentioned, for example, the CGMs and all that. But when you look at the public healthcare system, very few of those innovations are reaching the people. We know that 85% of our population is accessing care in the public health sector. And unfortunately, they are not benefiting from the new because they are not necessarily benefiting from the new insulin or from the new tablets that are protective of the heart and the kidneys. So it's really indeed, as we describe it, as an innovation divide, and that explains the high levels of complications that we're seeing in our patients with amputations, kidney failures, and the like. So that's why we felt it was very important to raise that point.
In fact, say a bit more about that point, that it's not a divide that's without consequences, is it? There are lived consequences of people that don't have access to these innovations.
Indeed, and there are very serious consequences. The challenge with diabetes, which in itself is just an increased levels of blood glucose or blood sugar in the blood. The issue is that with time, that leads to complications. If those levels of blood sugars are not controlled, it affects what we call target organs. You have your heart, you have the eyes, you have the kidneys, and so on and so forth. And there's also propensity for infections in some of those patients. So when the condition is not controlled, it impacts on the individual. But now I think I want us to have a more humane perspective. When we talk diabetes, we are talking about people just like you and I who have many other responsibilities that they have to go through. On top of that, they have this condition that you need to monitor every day. You need to be on top of every day. It's important that we make it as easy as possible for a person to manage the condition. Therefore, those innovations assist in ensuring that they adhere to the treatment. They assist in ensuring that the control is as prescribed by the doctors or the nurses. So it's really important that we equip, basically, that's what we are talking about here. We empower, equip the patient in terms of managing the condition to avoid very serious consequences.
So, how do we begin to address that innovation divide? How do we heed the call that you make that says investing in modern diabetes care is both a moral obligation as well as a smart economic decision?
No, thank you for the question, this way. That's a very big question. And obviously, for us to find a solution, we need to come together as South Africa. Because the Minister of Finance has a word to say here. The Minister of Health has something to say. The Minister of Science, Technology, and Innovation has a word to say. All of us have a contribution to make to this conversation. I might not have a direct answer. Some of those tools might cost at with when you look at the price itself, it might cost the cost might be look like it's a high price, but when you look at the consequences that you're avoiding down the line, that's what we call it an investment. We, as the Diabetes Alliance, are calling on all those health players to join us in two weeks from now in the Diabetes Summit to discuss how do we ensure that diabetes innovations that are improving the life of so many around the world are now reaching those who need it most in South Africa. That's the big question. We might have some ideas to suggest, but we believe that as a society, we can find a solution. We've done it with HIV, where people with HIV have access to the latest drugs. I'm sure you heard about the new drug that is coming in terms of prevention of HIV. We can do it with diabetes, and we can give a better life and a productive life to those people in South Africa living with diabetes.
All right, thank you for that insightful conversation. You can actually read it, that input from Patrick Ngasa Pioti, chairperson of the Diabetes Alliance South Africa. It was published a couple of days ago in the Sowetan.
Call Thulasizwe now, 086 000 2032.
The conversational buffet is served this morning. The number of topics that are on the table is really wide ranging. Someone wants to raise the issue of the National Director of Public Prosecutions, Shamila Batohi, whose term of office is nearing its end, and the processes are now underway to try and find a replacement for her.
Good morning to Lasizwe. I find it quite amusing and amazing that Shamila Batohi of the NDP is so quiet in all of this, whether it is Zondo Commission, whether it is Matlanga Commission, Katiso Malefe, Kat Matlala, all of these guys. The fact that they are just so quiet and we don't hear anything from Shamila Batohi with all of these things going on, it is just incredulous. I think she is just the most useless person we've ever appointed in that position.
All right, thank you for that. My recollection is that she actually did testify at the Zondo Commission, but I stand to be corrected. It's been a couple of years since that happened. Even if she didn't, my understanding is that there were people from there. But I get the point, the critique and criticism of her tenure as NDPP. A lot of people have had a lot to say about her tenure. It is nearing its end, as I said, and you are seeing the work already underway to try and identify a replacement. And I wonder if at any point, especially the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, right? Because their scope is about the criminal justice system, not just the SAPS. So maybe for now we've been focusing on the SAPS. Let's wait and see if it evolves and then touches on your correctional services, the NPA. I know that the investigating director in the NPA, Andrea Johnson, is itching to go and speak at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry about the allegations specifically relating to the investigating directorate against corruption. So maybe we may have to hold our horses a little bit and see if indeed in the end the NPA, especially an NDPP, will or will not testify at the commission.
Thulas Rasida here in Limpopo. We do not need these deputy ministers. The same goes to the Department of Education. You don't need two ministers for the basic and the higher education. You can have one minister and then two DGs. And also for Mr. Matale to go there and say he hasn't been given the task. He's a veteran. He should have requested where he can assist his own minister.
All right. I hear what you're saying, that he should have taken the initiative to say, Minister, I'm here. Use me. Let's work together. I get the point you are making. Let me play this one. Someone wants to respond on both issues, deputy ministers as well as NDPP Shamila Patoi.
Morning, Tulas. You know, I'm laughing when you say Shamila Batoi's term is coming to an end. And my question is, who's Shamila Batoi? What was she doing? What did she do? Who's this Shamila Batoi? Hey, yeah, and in South Africa, things are happening. People are deployed and then they don't have the mandate. Like those deputy ministers who are just going to work without any mandate to do in South Africa. Eh?
All right. Yo, I don't know what to say to that. Oh, Shamila Patoi, the National Director of Public Prosecutions for, I don't know, how long is the term of the NDPP? Yeah, I mean, it's natural that at the end of the term, people reflect on the impact. In fact, we may want to invite her in the coming days, on the coming months, actually, before her term of office ends, so that we can grapple with her legacy, right? Her input and legacy. I remember talking to her a couple of weeks ago, and I remember saying to her, asking her, when you came in, there was this talk about people in orange overalls, and I was wondering, did it come from you? Did you promise that I will have people in orange overalls, or was it just something that just happened on its own and it was organic, and people came to expect that of you, and whether or not you've delivered on that promise? So perhaps we should actually invite the NDPP to grapple with her tenure and her term of office in the coming days.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Our top story remains down in the Free State. This horrific fatal crash in a truck and taxi involved multiple loss of lives, as you've been hearing about in the news. The road is likely to be closed for some time. Swinburne through to Funrenan village, so it's north of the Funrenan's Pass option, if you like. Nothing getting through, full closure. The obvious divert is off at Harry Smith if you're southbound. Head for Olive Hill past R74. If you're northbound coming up from Durban, wanting to get through to Joburg, off at the Bergville exit onto the R74 and up Olive Hill Pass, back on via the N5 to Harry Smith. Likely that'll have you diverting that way for some time today. Other issues around Gauteng, breakdown on the N3 north after Heldney, so that's pretty heavy from the cement factory. The Mike 1 from Houghton up to Grayston Drive stays heavy. N3 north into Buccleuch, badly backed up into the roadworks. R21 north into the roadworks at Clayville, badly backed up through there as well. At Durban, it's been a bit of a mess with breakdowns around Spaghetti Junction this morning. It's all cleared up, thankfully. That's good news. But it has been replaced by a breakdown on your way to Cliffdale. So if you're heading through to Pietermaritzburg, some delays pushing back towards Key Ridge. That's queue number 1 on your way to PMB. Queue number 2 is the stationary truck that we've been detailing between Ashburton and Market Road, and that is quite heavy as well. And then if you're heading into Cape Town, multiple routes jammed this morning due to a crash on the N1 inbound at Marine Drive. So the M1 itself backs heavily to Plattercliff Hill. Routes like Hill, Basson, the N7 up from Goodwood, Kuberg Road through Brooklyn, Marine Drive through Pardnora Island, all of those routes really struggling to get into that N1 given the heaviness of that run through to the city this morning. The N7 south into Goodwood, pretty heavy as motorists duck off that N1 queue and jam up Jake's Kerbell Drive. And then it looks like a bit of traffic diverting through Kensington towards Maitland on 4 Trekker Road, also causing some extra pressures. Rob Byrne, STFM Traffic.
Thulasizwe Simelane is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio.
All right, straight to your calls. Busiso, good morning.
Hi, Tulas.
Yes, good morning.
It's Fiso in Devon.
Sfiso.
Yes.
Yeah, another one of the producers will bite the dust. Eh? I will need bail to be bailed out. They told me it's Busi, so go ahead, Sfiso.
No problem. Yes. All I can say regarding the position is that not from the
Action SA, yeah.
Yes, but I mean, in real politics, patronage is everything, and it does exist in a form of deputy ministers. It even exists in a form of CPWP job. Those volunteers, they need to be deployed somewhere, even in a form of it will always be there.
Sure.
It is,
but what do we do then, Sfiso? Do we then accept that patronage is part of politics, or I don't know? Do we try and restrain it?
It will always be part of politics. Remember when Zuma emerged in Polokwane, everybody in the political arena, especially in the former COSAS, SACP, these NCC, they all claim that they made Zuma
Yeah.
to be successful. And therefore, they owe, I mean, he owed them favors. And I mean, that's how politics work.
So you're saying even if it wasn't deputy ministers, there would still be other forms of patronage, appointing
There,
people, etc.
it's actually easy to say do away with deputy ministers when you are not in power. When you are in power, they are saying it.
So thank you for that. And I get the allusion to before they became part of the government, this whole idea of 43 deputy ministers, 42 deputy ministers would not have flown with the DA. I think many commentators have made that point. Itumeleng, good morning.
Good morning. Boxing in this country is not supported when it feels. 3 weeks ago, I read about a big tournament that was going to take place in Manila, the 50th anniversary of Thriller in Manila.
Yeah, or Thriller in Manila, yeah.
Yeah, yesterday it was on, and one of South African boxers by the name of Siakolo Akuze was fighting against Melvin Jerusalem. And since I read about this 3 weeks ago in the Sunday Times, I've never heard of it in sports news or anywhere in South African media. What is happening? Why are people boxing in South Africa?
Yeah, no, there's that concern. Hey, it really does seem to be on the decline. And I wonder if it's something at Boxing South Africa itself, in the various structures of boxing. Perhaps we could get someone like Joyce Kongwane, I don't know, in the coming weeks also to come and weigh in on that. But you're absolutely right. I also do remember a time when a South African fighter would be in the ring, when it would feel like a major sporting event and people would come out. Do you remember those days? The days of Dingan, the Rose, Tobela, or am I going? Lehlohonolo was Lehlohonolo, Hands of Stone, Letwaba, Abovuyani Pungu, and all of those. But yeah, it does seem we've come a long way from there. Maybe Joyce Kongwane would be the person to talk to, one of the people I know who's deeply involved in the sport of boxing and trying to just give it the oomph that it needs. Let me take some of your voice notes now.
Morning, Thulasizwe. Morning, South Africa. This is Richard in Durban. The question that begs to be answered here is how much of this work can be done by AI when it comes to vetting teachers and comparing them to sexual offenders lists? AI should be able to do that in about 30 seconds for the entire country. Just to deal with that part of it before we investigate people. That comparison is like 30 seconds, chat GTP done. Thanks, everybody, and have a lovely day. Cheers.
30 seconds, chat GPT done. So 485,000 names, just copy the entire database and just throw it on chat GPT. Yeah, maybe not that simple, but I get the point you're making. AI is really quite useful in many of these processes to try and fast track. Perhaps there's innovation there along the vein that you're talking about that says, actually, you can match these names that we have on our database of people employed versus what appears on the National Register of Sex Offenders.
Good morning, Thulas. I think every South African should listen to those committee hearings in Northwest and Free State in order for everyone to understand what has brought our country to its knees. Those officials are so corrupt. Their corruption shocks even Zweli Mkhize. So, yeah. Thank you, Anonymous in Durban.
Yeah, thank you for that, Anonymous. You remind me. I will come back and play that clip tomorrow. I've promised, because like you, I believe there's a lot that goes on in those committees when they go and have sittings in corners of the country where the media may not necessarily follow because they are bigger national stories, quote unquote, bigger national stories. But actually, the big story is playing itself out at those levels. That committee hearing, it hasn't left my mind since I saw it some 3-4 weeks ago. I was just astounded.
Maybe you can ask Jordan and Lewis, where are the patrols? Where are the stop and searches happening? Because in the area of Lotus, don't even see a police van. just patrolling the streets. It is unacceptable.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So different experiences, right? That's your experience in that area. But as I did a couple of, in fact, at the start of this hour, before the start of this hour, reflecting someone who was saying that actually you do see it in their community. So different experiences for people as far as the presence of patrols is concerned. Let me finish off with this one.
Morning, Thulasizwe. I think the mayor's out of touch with what's going on in the ground. He's got 350 guys every night, but there's still gang shootings every single night. Every night, just after 10. I live in Portland's Mitchell's Plain. Every single night, there's gunshots going off there. I left my house now to go to work, and there's a car parked outside, and the guys are smoking drugs in the car. There's no one patrolling the area, and if you call them to come and patrol, they take forever to come and sort out the issues.
All right. Thank you for that. Thank you for those reflections. The conversation doesn't stop. It will continue. Do stay tuned. This is SAFM. The Talking Point with Kathy Mutlatlana is up next after the news at 9 a.m. with N. Musa. I'm Thulasizwe Simelane. You've been briefed.
In our top stories, Ekurhuleni City Council to decide on corruption-accused police boss and police probe deadly in 3 highway road crash. Good morning. The City of Ekurhuleni Council is today expected to decide on the Metro Police Deputy Chief, Julius Mkhwanazi's future. The council must decide on whether to place Mkhwanazi on precautionary suspension or not. This comes after council members tabled an urgent motion to place Mkhwanazi on precautionary suspension, but voting was delayed pending the outcome of an internal investigation. Mkhwanazi is alleged to have used his powers to benefit tender tycoon and attempted murder accused Vusimuzi Katmatlala. Horisani Sitole reports.
Mkhwanazi is currently on special leave following allegations that he supplied criminally charged Vusimuzi Katmatlala private vehicles with EMPD blue lights. This prompted the internal investigation into Mkhwanazi's alleged involvement, which is expected to be presented before the Ekurhuleni Council. Members will then vote on the motion to suspend Mkhwanazi based on this report once it's presented before council.
Police are yet to establish the cause of a crash in which 8 people were killed on the N3 highway between Van Rieners's Pass and Montrose in the Free State. 6 other people were injured and taken to hospital following the crash, which happened when a minibus taxi and a truck collided this morning. The affected part of the road has been closed. The Road Traffic Inspectorate has advised motorists to use alternative routes. Its spokesperson Cindy Msimang.
The minibus had 14 occupants, the driver. So all in all, there were 15 people in the minibus. Currently, the truck was at a steep hill. It lost its power, rode backward, colliding with the minibus that was approaching. Through impact, the minibus lost control, capsized, and landed on the shoulder of the opposite bound. That's what happened, according to the driver of the truck.
The Social Security Agency, SASSA, has dismissed as unfounded suggestions that grant beneficiaries are set to receive double payment. It was responding to a social media post which made the claim. The agency says it's concerned about the recent misinformation that has gone viral. The agency spokesperson Andy Lechona has urged grant beneficiaries not to entertain information that does not come from credible sources.
SASSA would like to state that this is not true and that as SASSA we urge all our beneficiaries and the public at large not to entertain this misinformation as there has been no announcement of social grants double payment by SASSA or government. It is for this reason that we appeal to the public to be cautious of the information that they share on social media as it directly and adversely affects millions of our beneficiaries.
The South African Weather Service has forecast higher than normal rainfall for several parts of the country in the coming summer months. Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, the Free State and the Northwest are likely to experience heavier rainfall, which could result in localized flooding in some areas. Forecaster Tukelo Chilwane.
The seasonal forecast, or the latest seasonal forecast, which was released on the 30th of September, does indicate that we're going to be in what you call a weak La Nina season. And La Nina for the eastern and central parts of the country is defined as above normal rainfall with below or normal temperatures. Going forward now, it does have an indication that for Gauteng province, KwaZulu-Natal, Free State, Northwest, and escarpment as well as highfield of Mpumalanga, as well as the western bushveld of Limpopo, has an indication that there will be above normal rainfall.
And finally, the governor of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, Claudio Castro, has defended an anti-gang operation in which more than 130 people were killed. Human rights groups have condemned the raid, describing it as a massacre. The BBC's Camilla Mota has the details.
Castro called this a success. This has become very politically loaded, so there are a lot of people that back the government's action.